believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority, man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear, it's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, the entire state of distraction. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground. Distraction is a state. It's in between Arizona and Maine. In case you didn't know. And look over there. It's underneath. Look over. Oh, it's over there.
Squirrel.
Oh, squirrel.
Shiny.
Something shiny. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, the Duchess of Doing Stuff, my own personal Wikipedia. Know how much she likes it when I say that. Tribley's favorite person, not just libertarian, but just favorite person. Danielle Alexandra, how are you doing, Danielle?
I'm doing well. It's been a busy week. We have a very busy weekend coming up, but I'm happy to have a 3-hour break by being on the radio.
There you go. That's a good way of putting it. I hear you.
This is the slowest time of our week.
The most relaxed.
Wow. That really is sad, all things considered. Also with us in the studio, when you're looking for places to visit, one of the places you could go is called the Sinister. And when you do, say hi to Greg, because he's the prime minister of that. Greg Bowen, how are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
So, since it is the Sinister, would you be more of a dictatorship? Since you are also the prime minister of a place called Sinister.
No, I was elected.
Are you a republic or a democracy?
Were you the only guy on the ballot?
That's not important.
That's not important right now. The truth of the Sinister is coming out. Next week, we're going to do an expose on the Sinister to get to the bottom of it, actually. Because
we may have to stage a coup.
Our elections are just as valid as the ones here or Iran or anywhere else.
That doesn't make anybody feel any better, I don't think. I don't think that makes anybody feel any better.
No.
Well, then it shouldn't be us that are getting attacked.
Well, there you go. Don't drop bombs on the Sinister.
I'm not having any fun.
I'm not having any fun. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Very busy week, and I think we should get right into it very quickly.
Which would be so different than any other Friday.
Well, sometimes we go with the banter for a while.
He wants to get into it. It's Shark Week.
But I want to get in.
Bite right into it.
I don't think that any of the conversations that we're going to have are going to have anything to do with Shark Week.
That's a shame, because I saw something really interesting on there last night.
All right, well, we'll let you get into something. Give us something good on Shark Week.
Well, there was a show on last night called Sharkageddon, and it was about the rise in shark attacks in Hawaii. And I thought it was interesting that one of the things that they pointed at for a reason for tiger sharks attacking people close to shore was that with the Endangered Species Act of 1978, the green sea turtle was protected. After that, the population exploded of green sea turtles, and now there are tons of them near the shore, which draws the tiger sharks near the shore, which gets people attacked by tiger sharks. So the government is responsible for shark attacks in Hawaii.
I would almost want to argue that's a stretch, but it really did make a valid argument as to why there's more shark attacks in Hawaii, though.
It's really not. I mean, they said it on the show. They said it's not the main reason, but it's definitely a reason why there are more shark attacks in Hawaii.
But who will mess up the waters and get you attacked by a shark?
God,
but who will bait the sharks?
Is there anything the government can't screw up? I mean, really, is there anything they can't find a way to just screw up?
And I always go back to if you can't even deliver my mail, I don't know if I can trust you with anything else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to go with that, by the way.
Just an example of unintended consequences of legislation. They thought they were saving the turtles. They turned us into bait.
Well, speaking of finding a way to blame the government, I loved the meme that was the polluted waters in the communist country
Of
and
China?
blaming libertarian policy on it.
Yeah.
I always love that because they do this a lot. Like, it's almost like well, if you like a libertarian society, go to Somalia, which, we've talked about before.
We've decimated
not
that.
Yeah,
libertarian.
we've debunked the Somalia argument.
But then they also go with this, this is why you need the EPA. And then they show you pollution in China, which has the strictest regulations on everything.
Well, hold on. No. I would argue, no. They don't have strict regulations. They own everything.
They own everything.
The
and
communist country owns everything,
and if you don't follow their rules, they kill you.
which they still don't have as high of a prison population as us. But I'm just saying.
True. That is true. That is because they kill you much faster. But the issue is that in China, all that pollution that you're seeing, all these pictures that go around that says, look at, this is why we need government. The government in China caused the pollution. They're the polluters.
And in America, they're the biggest polluter.
And also, government here is the one causing the majority of the pollution.
I'm always reminded of Bob Burton whenever I hear about that. And the reason why I say that is he actually caught the DEP dumping toxic waste into the rivers in North Florida.
Right.
And that's why they started screwing with him.
Right.
Yep.
I mean,
But yeah,
you
and
silly statists, you.
the government intrusion, the EPA, these departments are actually what's setting the allowable limit of pollution that people can do, and the government is the only one exempt from the allowable level of pollution.
Yeah. And
I'm
that,
trying to sue him, too.
the pictures of China is a great example of why letting government run it doesn't work, because they have regulations there as well, but the companies that are making the government plenty of money don't get held to the regulations.
Yeah.
And they're allowed to do
own the
whatever they
government.
want.
They own the government. Or
Well, the government owns them.
The government owns them, and they're turning the profit, which keeps the government wealthy. So they're like, okay, if that's what keeps us wealthy, go for it.
Yeah. If you're a productive company and you're making the government money and you're...
I thought he was going to say something else there. Sorry. I really did.
But yeah, they'll let you get by with dumping whatever you want. They don't really care. And as long as you're making money.
When the people can actually start going against the polluters in court and winning, where if you have a polluter that has messed up the water system in a city or done something and harmed someone else, and you can literally put them out of business because of a strong judicial system that punishes people who infringe on your rights, that's when it doesn't become it's not worth polluting, because you could lose everything. It's not worth the risk. Everything is done in business by risk management. So if it's not worth the risk to do, like we could lose everything and then have nothing, then they will continue to do it. Right now, we've created a system where it's worth the risk to pollute because the government is protecting the companies.
And they're given allowable limits on how much they can pollute.
Right.
And they hit the number. Sometimes they go way over the number, but if they grease the right wheel in the government, then they don't have to worry about it.
Just slide that envelope of cash to the right person and it's all good.
Underneath the stall, just don't put your foot over there, because
Or tap.
don't tap. That's a different sign. So don't do that. I mean, unless you're looking for that thing, and I'm not judging. I'm not saying that you can't have that if that's what you want. It's not my thing, and I'm just saying, like, if you were looking
You don't
for the
tap in the next stall.
I'm not doing that.
No, you're not tapping.
No. I mean, unless it was like co-ed bathrooms or something, but even then, I still wouldn't be comfortable doing that. I'd rather see the person face to face if I'm going to make a sexual advance. So, I don't want anything shoved in my,
Yeah, I would actually think in the bathroom would not be the place for a good pickup, even if it was co-ed. Like, I want my privacy there. I don't want you messing with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that as well. I am gonna have to go with that. I don't know if I need that. All right. Now we got to get to something serious. Now we've gone way off. We've gone too far. All right, so
It didn't take long to just go completely derailed.
yeah. All right, we're starting in Ferguson.
We are.
We are starting in Ferguson. For those of you that don't know,
you really need to get out more.
Yeah, that's one. But for those of you that don't know, the police shot a man. There is
In Ferguson, Missouri.
In Ferguson, Missouri, police shot a man. Now, from my understanding, the eyewitness accounts are saying that this guy was shot in cold blood. That he was just. I think he was handcuffed. No, he wasn't handcuffed at that point.
But he was
on the
subdued.
ground.
I think, yeah, he was subdued.
He was on the ground. He was subdued. And the police shot him and he died.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things you can say is this ain't the first time the police have done something like this.
We mention this nearly 2 or 3 times a month just on this show when police do this around the country.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about police brutality. We've also talked about the blowback that you guys are going to have coming to you. And because of this, the community, it was a black man that was shot, and the African-American community that's there started a riot. Now, even watching some of the reports, it looks like the first night, it looked like there was, well, I know that there was looting. It looks like the police actually cordoned it off and allowed it to happen. And then the next night, they came out like with military equipment and started just tear gassing everybody, including the reporters, and just turned the place into a damn police state.
And several reporters were arrested literally for just reporting.
Yeah, and several reporters were arrested for just reporting. Now, the protest itself was not a looting one. It was a, we don't like you killing people, police, which we should be doing probably more of whenever we hear any of these things. We should not be looting. Again, the police were wrong, dead wrong in what they've done, and those people deserve to find out, A, who did it, because the police still haven't said who's done it yet. They need a proper investigation done by an independent outside source.
Right.
And whoever did it needs to go to jail for a long time. However, and this isn't it doesn't, and nothing that I'm going to say next excuses any of what they've done there. Don't break up your own damn neighborhood when something bad happens, because that person that runs that store didn't do nothing. And you making yourselves look bad. So the people, not everybody did it, by the way, but the people that did, don't go looking for a reason to go rob people.
Well, it doesn't prove your point. I'm angry that the police shot an innocent man, so I'm going to steal the stuff from this other innocent business owner.
Yeah, you sound like government when you do that.
You actually do. That's a government tactic.
Yeah, government does that, and you're not government. So don't act like it.
Don't act like government.
Don't act like government.
You're not that evil.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the next night, though, that they were having protests. Now, because of the night before, though, the police, and again, they were looking for a reason to do this anyway, so it's not like I'm trying to justify their behavior. But when you have a nice protest going on and nothing's going wrong, and the police come out there with guns and they're having a curfew now, and then if you don't disperse or they want you in one area, then they move you to another area, and if you don't go there quickly, they're going to disperse you. So the police found every reason in the world to act like a bunch of a-holes, and they started, again, arresting reporters. I mean, they gas bombed the Al Jazeera people.
Right.
You know, like, and it's on video. It's not like, wow, they didn't. No. There was nothing around Al Jazeera.
Except tear gas.
But Al Jazeera. And then tear gas starts coming up where Al Jazeera is. And then they're like, well, we were going to move their cameras. Bullshit. You put their cameras down because you didn't think you were getting videotaped off the stuff you were doing.
Right.
Now, the state patrol gets in the game and says, well, you guys can't handle this, obviously. The state patrol comes in and in an effort of freaking sanity doesn't put the riot gear on.
Right.
Goes out there like peace officers, stands with the people, and we got a peaceful protest. Everything you need to know, police, of what you should and should not be doing was just shown to you in Ferguson. First off, don't shoot people that don't need to be shot. Stop killing people that are already subdued. If you do see people looting a building, they are infringing on someone else's rights. Cordoning them off and letting them do it ain't the proper procedure.
Right.
You know, in case that's in the book, like in the procedure book, take that part out of the procedure book, please.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
And turn in your military weapons and start remembering your damn peace officers, because the blowback you're starting to see from this is only the beginning. The more you do this, the bigger the blowback's going to be. Your peace officers. I even had to deal with this morning when I did my daily with the captain. Their job is not to patrol. Their job is to protect and to serve the public. It is to protect your rights. You are there to protect our rights. And again, we can argue over tax policy in a different conversation. But our tax dollars are used to pay your salary. And the reason that I'm supposed to be okay with that, and that libertarians are supposed to be okay with that, is that it's done there to protect our rights. You guys have strayed so far from that, it ain't even funny. You're getting paid by us. Start acting like it. All right? Now, there are some cops that act like it, and don't get me wrong, and it's very good. I'm glad that they are. The ones that are silent about the abuse need to stop being silent. Hate to pull that from Adrian, but I'm going to have to pull it from Adrian. This really does. Hopefully, police departments around the country are watching what's going on in Ferguson and taking some damn notes.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's, this is a subject that keeps coming up. Something that we're talking about all the time is that we have this militarization, over militarization. I mean, this isn't like, you have a specific task force that's SWAT and they go into hostage situations and things like that, and they're trained, extra because of those, situations that do arise but don't arise often. This is where every police officer has militarized equipment. Every let's patrol the streets now can be done with an MRAP. These are equipment that you see on a battlefield overseas used by the military. And at this point, if you were to put a military unit up against a police force, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Well, one's camouflage and one's dark blue.
Okay, there's the difference.
The color of the uniform.
The color of their uniform.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the content of the machinery, not by the color of their machinery.
Well, the content of the machinery is the same. I think
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
They take the turrets off of the tanks first and then sell them cheaper.
Yeah. But
sell them again to us a second time.
But at the end of the day, I think a lot of this stems with this policy now that we have of police basically everywhere in the country, where the police come first, their safety comes first, and it's shoot first and ask questions later. If there's any question, just kill someone. Or kill their dog, or or beat them senseless until they can't do anything, instead of trying to calm the situation down, which for most, we were always told that police training involved calming the situation down first. And if that didn't work, as a last resort, you use these other tactics, where it seems like there has been, especially recently, a big shift where force is used first. And then you worry about the situation and dealing with the aftermath of using force.
Well, it's because they've changed their job description, and they did it verbally. They talk about it verbally. They didn't actually change it on paper, but the reality is that they have. And their job description now is to make sure all the police officers go home at night, rather than enforcing the law, protecting the public, protecting your rights. That's not their goal anymore. Their goal is the height of paranoia. They live on edge, live in a state of paranoia, worried about, I have to get home tonight. Well, your job is not to get home. Your job is to enforce the law.
Be an accountant.
You took a risky job. I'm sorry for you. You took a risky job. It is risky. There is danger. You might not go home one night. I understand that risk. My father was a police officer. I worried about it every night. But you took the job. This is a free country still, to some degree. You were not forced into that position. So if you're worried about not coming home, be an accountant.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. What do you think at the end of the day is going to make you more or less safe? Making this a police state and making all the people that are out there that way outnumber you, I mean, by a whole lot, make them realize that the only way they're going to be able to protect themselves is by shooting you. You can't stop them all. You're not going to be able to do it. Or by being that servant to the public that you're supposed to be. Again, I'm actually talking about this in a way to look out for their safety. Mm-hmm. I want you to be able to go home at night. The problem is you're making this to where it really is us versus them, and you're going to need an MRAP, and it still's not going to be enough because they're going to get to you. And this is not a threat. This is not a threat of, violence that I'm telling you that I'm going to do, because I'm not going to do it. I'm telling you what you're going to have. It's not going to make a difference.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, it's inevitable at this point. So, I mean, look at this situation and learn what you should learn from this. Really, you should. Look, and don't get me wrong. Look, this is not the last time a cop's going to shoot somebody, by the way.
No.
And there are justifiable times in which the cops shoot people.
Well, this week also we had in Palm Bay County, and I mean not Palm Bay, in Bay County. Remember I told you earlier this week about the sheriff there.
I don't remember.
All right. Well, Sheriff McKeithen in Bay County, and this is someone that we've met briefly, and I've seen a lot of things that he said, and he seemed very more like a constitutional sheriff than anything else. And he had a situation where a man beat his wife to the point of where she was in intensive care, and then ran. And 5 days later, she's still in ICU, barely hanging on for her life. And they get a tip that he is in a hotel. So they surround the hotel, and they get everyone else out. And the sheriff says to the officers, "Nobody goes in there. We're not trying to harm anyone. I'm going to go in there and negotiate myself." And the sheriff himself went in there. Stayed in with the man for 90 minutes trying to negotiate him surrendering. And right after he had been there for about an hour and a half, the guy got very agitated, it became very obvious that he wasn't going to surrender. He became very agitated and started waving the gun around. The sheriff asked him to put the gun down several times, and eventually the guy pointed the gun and the sheriff shot him.
And this is the elected official sheriff, not a deputy.
Right. This is the elected sheriff. He basically said, "I don't want any of my deputies in harm's way. I'll go in myself."
Justifiable?
Yeah.
At that point, it is. You got to remember, too, that there's some people that want suicide by cop.
Yeah.
That happens. You have to look at each situation independently. But you need complete transparency when you do this, though.
Yeah.
And the problem that you have here is, look, this is why you need the cameras on the cops.
Yep.
Got to have them.
cameras on.
Got to have the cameras on the cops. Because when you do that, all the bad stuff that's allegedly to have happened, all those complaints go away because complaints go down by 80%. Right. Now, again, I don't think those people are lying, because if they were, then they would put in the complaint anyway. Take the lesson or be part of the police state, which you are. I mean, and the cops that were involved in that one, that were part of that thing, that were gassing the media and arresting them. To be honest with you, shame on you. Honestly, every one of you should lose your jobs. There's no second chance. That's the other thing that they need to get rid of. No more second chances with police.
Yeah.
You do one thing wrong one time when it comes to hurting a person,
using excessive force.
One time, you're gone. We should have a zero tolerance policy. That's the zero tolerance policy.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's times where, if you're getting a complaint that you were just rude to someone, I mean, there's always a person that didn't get their way, and so they're angry and they're going to put in a complaint. But if you have used excessive force, and it's been proven that it was an excessive force situation, you should no longer be a police officer.
I think it's interesting. Norman Stamper, former police chief of Seattle, came out speaking out against what the Ferguson police did, and
The riot night.
right.
Okay.
Well, he was the police chief that was in charge in Seattle in 1999. You remember they had an event where there was a nonviolent protest. The
the
cops-
G20 riots, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Or the G8 riots. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's saying that he learned from that lesson that is not the way that you respond to protests. That's not the way you respond to these mass gatherings of people, because that's really what happens. You get a whole bunch of people and the police start freaking out. Right. It doesn't matter whether it's a protest, a football game, anything. You get a bunch of people in one place, the police get paranoid. He's saying that, you know, the police need to learn from this. He learned from his mistake in 1999. Ferguson did not learn from other police departments' mistakes. Now they've made the same mistake. They are escalating the situation. And he is saying that bringing out the military force is a provocation, which I totally agree with.
Yeah.
If the people are peacefully protesting and asserting their First Amendment rights, and you come out with paramilitary force to intimidate them, you are provoking them. You are the ones now responsible for any violence that occurs. Because if they showed up with Sharpies and poster board, and you showed up with tanks and submachine guns, you are the problem.
You're the aggressor.
You are the violent one. Mm-hmm. You are the one that we need to worry about. You are the one that people should be scared of.
And just because I did look up the history, I mean, because we've...
Well, hold on, let me just say, the pen is mightier than the sword, Greg.
Oh, and the pictures from Ferguson, the police in their riot gear were also in camouflage. Because apparently in the middle of a city, you're going to be hiding behind bushes.
It just goes to show that they are being fully militarized.
Right.
Even the colors of their uniforms aren't different.
Aren't any different. Now, you know, when we look through this, and, you know, every year we talk about the NDAA and these, you know, the provisions that were put in a few years back, you know, for the detention of American citizens on American soil and things like that. But that's not the only bad portion of the NDAA that there is. This militarization of the police is actually a part of the National Defense Authorization Act, and it was actually enacted in 1990. This particular provision, because the NDAA is actually something that's been done every year for decades.
Mm-hmm. Because it authorizes money for defense spending.
It's basic, yeah, and that's all it used to do. But they keep adding in these things. But in 1990, there was a Section 1208 of the NDAA, which allowed the Secretary of Defense to transfer to federal and state agencies personal property of the Department of Defense, which would include small arms, ammunition, and anything else that the Secretary determines is suitable for the agency to counter drug activity. Now, and then in 1996, the section was actually removed because people were upset about it, but then it was put back in a different section, 1033, because that's what they generally do. They say, look, we listened to you, and, you know, 1208 doesn't exist anymore. But they just put it into a different section. And they actually call this the 1033 program. So now if you were to look, it will say under the 1033 program, they bought this MRAP or they did this. And that's what the 1033 program is.
That's why they're so cheap.
And that is why it's so cheap. And it's being equated to the drug war, why we have the militarization of the police. But I understand that that's how it's written. I don't see that as the equation. I see that as the cover for what they are actually doing. Because we have a failed foreign policy where we have made it our business to have military installations everywhere in the world. And because of that, we have made military contractors some of the richest men and richest people in the entire world. And they have now bought government to the point where they are controlling a large amount of legislation that comes through there. And that means they're always going to be looking out for their bottom line. And their bottom line is they have to keep making military equipment. So if you are basically being run by the people who make military equipment, you have to find a way to use the military equipment and keep buying it. So now you have to look for an excuse on why you need military equipment. And the excuse in 1990 was the drug war. And now the excuse is because we have to be the policemen of the world. And, there's always this excuse.
The terrorists will get you.
Yeah. But they're manufacturing excuses on why they have to have extra military equipment. And then when all of a sudden they have so much that the federal government can't even house all of the military equipment that we've now bought, now they have to get rid of it. So what do? Now they're passing it on to the police departments. And that's why you see the militarization of every police department, is because you have contractors that are just producing this material at a rates that we can't even house for our own military. So we have to push it off and down the line into police forces.
Or give it to ISIS.
Or give it to ISIS. They seem to like it.
Well, ISIS doesn't have to pay for it. See, when they sell it to the local governments inside the United States, they get paid a second time for all that equipment.
Yeah.
Because we already paid for it once, and now we get to pay for it again from our local budgets when they sell it to us. But they just give it to ISIS.
And when local governments buy this on the 1033 program, the actual federal government does not have to disclose. It's not public record who's buying it. So unless you're looking at your local police force and their, and their budgets and things like that, you have no idea what your actual police force is buying and what they have equipped themselves with until they end up on your street with it.
Yeah, or it's shoved in your face. Yeah. Till it's right there in your face looking at you.
Ferguson now knows.
Yeah. Fergie knows. Again, the job of the police is to protect the citizenry, and none of this stuff is there for that. Bottom line, it's not. And again, it's funny that in this conversation, in the demilitarization of the police, that one of the themes that does come up here is the drug war. Mm-hmm. And I know we were having a conversation yesterday about how one equated to the other.
Right.
And I think that you answered it. Mm-hmm. We have to look at this policy again. And this kind of gets into Amendment 2 here a little bit, but I do want to mention this part as well. The people on the pro side of Amendment 2 have given rational, good arguments as to why people should vote yes on 2. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, in the opinion of many people, matter of fact, in the opinion of 53% of the people, it doesn't even go far enough. That full legalization is actually what you should be doing. But here's the thing, it ain't about getting high. It's about what they do, what they're willing to do to stop you from getting high. That's the more important part. You got to remember, they can throw you in jail and you can still get weed.
Right.
Because they have weed in prison. You will never be able to stop it. Do you want to know why illegal immigration is so big? Look at the drug war. If you took their money away from them, if you took the ability of the cartels to sell marijuana to people in America, which making it legal is what would happen, because the drug cartels would not be able to do it as cheaply as you would in your backyard.
Right.
If nothing,
and it would be better.
If nothing else, it would be cheaper to buy a domestic marijuana than an imported marijuana.
Yeah, no matter what, it would be cheaper to do that. You are taking their money away. Look, go back to, again, I'm not making something up. What happened during Prohibition in America?
Very similar to what we're seeing
today.
The
rise of the mob. Mm-hmm. And then what happens when you take that away from them? They got to find something else to, again, at that point, the mob didn't go away, but you took a lot of power away from them.
They transferred their business. That's all they did.
But they were created because of that government. Mm-hmm. The mob was, organized crime was kind of always around, but.
Yeah, it would.
Listen, bad guys will always organize to be bad guys.
Yeah.
But
you were able to, you want to clear up the immigration problem, then look at the drug war. You want to clear up the militarization of the police, look at the drug war. You want to actually look at how you could employ a whole bunch of people in this country legitimately? Look at the drug war. You want to lower government spending? You conservatives? You want to lower government spending? I'm sorry. Look at the drug war. Again, it's not about getting high. It's about what we're spending to try to stop it. We can no longer spend this money. We can't afford it, to be honest with you. And I like to just buy local.
You are spending billions of dollars a year to stop a plant.
In Florida.
Plant.
Yeah, because it's over $1 trillion every year is what the U.S. government spends on the war on drugs. Drug use has increased since the war on drugs has happened, not decreased at all. So we've basically wasted $1 trillion to do absolutely nothing except throw a bunch of people in jail that if there were... that wouldn't now have the opportunity to go into treatment, to have family that could take care of them, to get them on a path where they weren't ruining their lives with drugs. And I'm not saying that everyone who uses drugs ruins their lives, but that does happen. But we've made it to where they're hiding it. They're in hiding. They're not getting the treatment they need. They're not doing it responsibly because of prohibition. And this is the only time we've seen these issues of police against citizens and all this other, where regular people who are not doing anything wrong, law-abiding citizens are afraid to go onto their own street because of police and other people fighting, was during prohibition of alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, and the one point I wanted to get to about the Amendment 2 thing, the reason the Amendment 2 thing, the No on 2 people have done nothing but spread lies, false information, misinformation, and have used every dirty trick in the book to try to get people onto their side of the argument. And I will say, there's a lot of different coalitions, sheriff's offices. There are religious organizations in this as well, or so-called religious organizations. I will not insult Danielle's religion by saying it. They're fake religious organizations that are
Thank
involved. You people should be friggin' ashamed of yourselves. You really should be. And you know what? You better pray that you're wrong and that there is not a God, because when he goes up there, I don't know if he's going to have anything nice to say to you. You got to remember, he's the one that put the plan on the planet there, guys. If you believe in God, then you think he's wrong for putting this here? The one thing that actually will... And again, there are people in pain, and this is the only thing they can use in order to not be in pain anymore. And you want to take that away? Who in the fuck do you think you are? I mean, really, who do you think you are that you're going to use the force of government to tell somebody else that they can't do something to ease their pain because you got a problem with it? You really need to, one, you need to get over yourself. You really need to get over yourself. Two, you need to understand that, look, I don't like the pills. I'm not a pill. I don't like oxys. I don't like those things. You don't hear me trying to ban them.
They're legal.
They're legal. You don't hear me going away. I'm not a big drinker. Well, I used to be. Not as much anymore. But I still drink, though, occasionally. I don't get to drink this month. But you don't hear me trying to tell you that you're not allowed to drink. Again, because you people want to get in other people's business and you're willing to lie to do it. I have no respect for you. I have no respect whatsoever. And honestly, you have no respect for America. You have no respect for the Constitution. The Founding Fathers smoke weed, all right? So let's just get down to it. The damn Constitution's on hemp.
And they're supporting a racist policy. Marijuana prohibition started in this country as an overtly racist policy.
Yes.
And when I hear the people who are no on to and against medical marijuana and against recreational marijuana, I just hear Harry Anslinger coming out of their mouth. I just hear the quotes from him on the Senate floor coming out of their mouth, saying things like, reefer makes the darkies think they're as good as the white men. That's what I hear from you people. It is just as ignorant. It is just as stupid. It is just as hateful. They have no valid argument.
I didn't realize that was said on the floor.
Yeah.
On the Senate floor.
And this is when the marijuana got put onto the Schedule 1 was the debate, and the reason why cannabis was put as a Schedule 1 drug and made illegal is because there was the sentiment in Congress at the time that it would make black men rape white women.
Yeah.
That's why it was banned.
Here's one of my favorite quotes from him from the Senate floor. Most marijuana smokers are Negroes, Hispanics, jazz musicians, and entertainers. Their satanic music is driven by marijuana, and marijuana smoking by white women makes them want to seek out sexual relations with Negroes, entertainers, and others. It is a drug that causes insanity, criminality, and death, the most violence-causing drug in the history of mankind. Is that your experience with marijuana?
You know, I've happened to have smoked marijuana a couple times. Maybe a couple more than that. And it is totally the opposite reaction. In all honesty, you get big thinking. I'll go there. You get big thinking.
Unusually grand ideas.
Yeah, unusually grand ideas. You won't know how to shut up.
Well, that's the truth.
You won't know how to stop eating.
You will find yourself eating things that you may not have been wanting to eat before. However, you can't go rob anything to go get the food because don't have that much energy. You're generally
Generally.
happier, and you're mellow for the most part. Very few people I know, but there are some exceptions to the rule that do get a little more hyper. But I think that does depend on the strain too, though.
There are people that I've seen that get hyper from it. I have never in my life, and not only have I smoked weed, I've smoked a lot of weed, and I've smoked a lot of weed with a lot of people. And never in my life have I seen anyone who has just smoked weed get violent.
Right.
I see people who drink alcohol get violent all the time. And I have seen people who have smoked weed and drank alcohol get violent. I have never seen anyone who has just smoked weed get violent. I have seen people who tend to be aggressive when they're sober smoke weed and become more mellow and more calm and take things more jokingly than they normally would. And they don't get as upset.
Yeah. Well, and you got to remember this too. Part of the fuel for why it was illegal was racism.
Yes.
But I do think that you discount there's another factor at play.
The pharmaceutical industry.
Well, no, not at the time though. The pharmaceutical
Well, it
industry
was.
is why it stays illegal. It wasn't really at the time though. At the time, it was the paper company.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that is true.
The term yellow journalism.
Yeah, Anslinger and DuPont were very much in collusion on this whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was made illegal based off of lies.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the Gulf of Tonkin.
Tonkin.
Tonkin. Token. I love it.
That was deep though.
That
was deep. You had to know a lot of other things in order to get that. If you laughed when you were listening, when you heard that, pat yourself on the back. You know what's going on.
You get a gold star.
If you didn't, then you need to listen to more of this show.
Go back. You've missed something.
Yeah, go back. You did miss something because I know we've talked about the Gulf of Tonkin. But at any rate, again, the militarization of the police is how we started this conversation off. But you have to look at how they've been militarized and why they've been militarized and what were the justifications.
The excuse that they've used.
Yeah, the justification that was used to do it. And it does have to do with the war on drugs. But it's all based off of lies. And again, people go, well, it would just be crazy to think that you could make marijuana legal again. That would be just completely insane.
Look at what's going on in Ferguson.
Well, yeah, one, look at what's going on in Ferguson. And two, I want you to hear what we just said and compare it to the person that says, well, it's just crazy. That's not an argument. That's what you say when you have none. Argument, that is. Not if you don't have any weed. But if you have no argument.
You might actually say that if you didn't have any weed, but
Yeah, because you might be just completely insane at that point, and you don't have any weed. Well, even then, though, if you don't have any weed, you want some, though. I mean, it's not like you're going to say you make it legal. I mean, right?
no.
Like that would be crazy. That would be completely insane. But, and again, here's the thing. It's already coming. It will be legal. Oh, yes, it will.
Yeah.
It'll start with medical here in Florida. We're at 80%. So Jeb Bush, your dumbass can come out and try to say something if you want to, but you're an ignorant fool. Again, no one named Bush should ever be allowed in elected office again. Let's just remember that. We've made the mistake twice. There's no need to make it anymore.
Well, actually, in Florida, we also had a Bush. So, I mean, 3 Bushes have been in office, just not
That's
president.
true. Well, 4 now because the John P. guy
Yeah.
has gotten in office. And again, Jeb Bush wasn't even like a horribly, horribly bad governor. But it doesn't matter. He's a Bush. He doesn't. No more Bushes in office.
He was a Bush, and he ran it like a Bush. It was sweetheart crony deals, and
He did say it in Spanish though, so I don't know if that makes you feel better.
I mean, he wasn't like the most corrupt and the most morally bankrupt governor we've ever had.
That would be Rick Scott.
But he
That
still
would be Rick Scott. By the way. Let me second that one. Rick Scott is the most morally bankrupt guy we've ever had.
Like he
Well,
makes
in our
corruption-
lifetime.
Yeah, in our lifetime. Because I gotta tell you, this guy makes like you have rewritten the book on government corruption, man,
yeah.
and entertaining answers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Greg.
I hate to
Sorry.
interrupt.
It's okay.
She made a good point.
No, she absolutely did. But it really is just that, Bush was very much part of the problem that we have now, the cronyism and the corruption amongst government officials and between the government and the corporations here in Florida. Jeb Bush is a big part of why the sugar industry in Florida pretty much owns this state now and gets to say whatever is going to happen here.
Which is why we don't have legalized hemp, by the way, because of the sugar industry.
Yeah. And Jeb Bush was in bed with them all day long.
Yeah. You know what? Look, I know it was Ferguson and militarization of the police in the first hour, but I do want to say this real quick. A lot of times libertarians are equated with conservatives, Republicans, big business.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to understand something. We have a problem. There is a difference between free market capitalism and business interests. Mm-hmm. Is that the way to say it?
Yeah.
Is that the right way to say it? Mm-hmm. We don't like the Chamber of Commerce. Do you know why? Because they're crony capitalists. We're against cronyism. The Chamber of Commerce is pro-cronyism. Just look at what happened with Justin Amash. Justin Amash is without a doubt, if there was a libertarian in Congress, his voting record would probably be 95 to 98% with Amash. Agree? Does everybody agree on that one?
Yes.
Without knowing the voting record all the way, I mean, from what you know.
The closest thing we have to a libertarian in federal office is Justin Amash.
Yeah,
that statement I will go
And
with.
let me ask you a question.
The votes would be very similar.
Yeah, and if Amash put an L next to his name, you'd welcome him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would not fight against that.
He's probably the only one in Congress that you wouldn't. But
Yeah.
he's one.
He is the only one.
Yeah, he's the one that could turn libertarian, and he doesn't have a bunch of sins to atone for before he'll be accepted.
He would just be like, sorry, guys, I thought I could do it through the GOP, but you're right,
Yeah.
they're evil.
My
and we'd
bad.
be like, oh, cool.
Yeah, thanks for coming around. Join us.
Welcome.
The only thing I
Here's
disagree
your
with
tinfoil hat.
the only thing I disagree with Justin Amash on is the fact that he's a Republican.
Yeah. So, and what did happen with Justin Amash is that there was an all-out assault against him by the Chamber of Commerce, mind you, was part of the groups that were going against Justin Amash. So we view a difference between free market capitalism, free markets, and the cronyism that you see coming from the GOP and coming from the Chamber of Commerce.
Where everyone's out for their business interests.
Yeah, because those people don't give us any money. By the way, libertarians ain't getting no chamber money.
No, in fact, they try to exclude us from their straw poll ballots so that people don't know we're actually in the election.
Yeah, correct, correct. Which we are now suing people for, which is beautiful, or at least Bill is, or Bill's filing
Legal complaints.
after legal complaint. Good, and you know what? And he should though. Look, we've gone too long where we've allowed this to happen. We've allowed it to happen. They're violating the damn rules. I do think that some of it was us just not having enough people to make it to be able to have standing. You needed somebody on the ballot for them to exclude for us to bitch.
Right.
Well, and listen, and now we are now, and we've had a few people on the ballot in the past that just kind of went, well, that's the way it goes. And now you have other people that are running that are like, no, you're doing me wrong, and I'm standing up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And and the other thing is, hold on, where were we?
Talking about business interests, the Chamber of Commerce.
I actually saw that train of thought
They don't
derail.
give us money.
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, you're right. There you go. I'm sorry. If I had more money, I would be able to remember that. These people actively go against us.
Yes.
It ain't even funny. They do it. They come after us
Constantly.
constantly. So don't say, "Well, you guys are just the fools for businesses," or "You guys are the lapdog dummies for big business." Look, they'd even give lapdog dummies some money.
They
Yeah.
All right.
Big business hates
Yeah.
libertarians.
We are the only thing that will stop them, because you guys haven't stopped a damn thing. By the way, the left, you've stopped nothing in that realm. Not only have you stopped nothing, you made it worse.
Yeah.
Yes. And
You are responsible for shark attacks in Hawaii.
yes, you are.
You are. We need to start blaming them for this shit.
Well, and they, as much as they try to say, we're here to stand up for the middle class and we're not about big business. When you look at the voting records, and this was in a Princeton study that we looked at this week.
Oh, but zero impact on public policy?
Yeah, but in the Princeton in the Princeton study, it said that while they may say these things, that when you look at voting records and what comes out of government, it's generally bipartisan against the middle class. There is no party there's neither of the two major parties are standing up for the rights of the people. That legislation that comes out of there is all geared towards big business, corporations, and special interests, and rich elitists. So there is absolutely no difference between the two parties, and that's not us saying it. That's a Princeton study saying it.
Well, look, the only difference is who gets the money.
Right.
Like the left will fund Solyndra.
Yeah.
They'll fund their pet projects that they were telling you were so damn good.
That fail.
Just like the right will buy tons of weaponry and then give it out to everybody in the name of the drug war.
Charge us for it twice.
Charge us for it, or take us into wars that they shouldn't be taking us into. And it's not like even Obama gets us out of these things either. Look at Iraq, Exhibit A. And again, we are bombing our own stuff at this point that we gave to them. There is something very ironic about that we are. Hold on.
We're getting into this the next hour.
Oh, we are? Oh, well, then I'm not going to say anything about it anymore. Sorry. I was going to go down a road, but I'm glad you stopped me. Thank you.
It's a good road. We're going to go down that road.
We are going to go down that road. It is in the plans to go down that road.
Now, let me offer a message of hope here, though. Let me offer a message of hope.
Alex's message of hope.
Yes. Message of Hope by Alex Snicker. You, as a person, can make a difference, though. You really can. It starts with knowing what is effective, though. You need direct engagement with your local sheriff. And I don't mean by shooting them, at least not to start with.
We don't advocate the use
We're
of
not
force
advocating
or
the use of force or violence here.
That's not the type of engagement.
But engagement means that you talk to these people and you say, I don't want you using military vehicles anymore. When you go out there, if you have a riot, do not use military vehicles. Remember that you're there to protect and serve. Remember, you're there to protect and serve the citizens that pay your salary. You're not terrorists. So don't put out videos of you and your undercover guys in masks with a whole bunch of drugs saying how cool it was that you were able to do this. Again, I know marijuana is not all the way legal yet. Big yet. And sheriffs, you guys really need to understand, when you're in the enforcement arm of the government, you have made it so it is unethical for you to talk about public policy when it comes to the laws that should and should not be. You're there to enforce them. You're not there to advocate for more, assholes.
And how are we supposed to be impressed when the people who are defrauding the American people through the financial system are sitting free and still stealing money all day long, but you guys are all on TV so happy with yourselves because you busted a stoner?
Yeah.
Are we really supposed to be impressed with that? You busted a stoner while all the biggest criminals are running free? Mm-hmm. You guys are the ones that are corrupt.
Well, here's the, you know what, I know we're going off on a lot of different tangents here. But when you watch these busts, right, and you hear about how they had $8,000 and they had a bunch of marijuana and they had 3 pistols, like they had their guns. 3 pistols?
Really?
$8,000 in cash and some weed? Does that really sound like a bad time?
Well, does that sound like they were going out to harm anyone?
They were probably, you know why they had to have their guns? Because weed's illegal and somebody might come and try to rob them. And they can't
couldn't call
you.
the police.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You hear about these busts, and very rarely, I mean, these cops go in with overwhelming force. They come in with their full military force, and they come into these houses, and they do the bust, and they show how many guns there were. Were there any shots fired? No, these guys aren't shooting at the cops.
Right.
They're shooting at the other drug dealers that are shooting at them.
Because it's illegal.
You know, one of the
Make it legal. These guys are entrepreneurs.
one of the best times that I had on the campaign trail with Adrian
So far.
one of these, you know, you always get like when you see like someone get it, like, and you just love it, like you just love to hear it. But someone asked Adrian the question, well, you just want to legalize drugs. And Adrian says the war on drugs has been an abject failure. And he goes, oh, you want a meth lab hiding in someone's basement down the street from you? And this little old lady, who I swear was probably in her 80s, stands up and says, you idiot, if they make it legal, the meth lab won't be hiding in your neighborhood.
Oh, I love when people get it. Oh, that's beautiful. I wish I was there for that.
Touche.
The meth lab would actually be assembled correctly.
In a scientific lab in a factory.
Yeah, I mean, chemists would be doing this instead of street thugs.
I'd argue you probably wouldn't even have things like meth.
You probably
Probably not. It would probably die out very fast.
Yeah. I think you still have coke, though, but...
Well, I think you would still have meth. It would be a completely different drug at this point because it wouldn't be made out of the hodgepodge of materials that the current meth makers make it from.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a market for it, chemists are going to make it. It's going to be done in a laboratory where things are built properly to correct specifications. Everything's cooked at the right temperatures and with the correct balances of the different chemicals. And it's ultimately going to come out clean and safe, and it's not going to blow up your neighborhood.
Yeah. And if you have a problem, if you think that marijuana should be illegal and the other drugs should be illegal, I want to make sure that you understand you shouldn't be drinking alcohol and you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes.
And you shouldn't be drinking coffee.
Or coke.
Because the reality is we have a huge drug problem in this country. Over 85% of Americans are addicted to caffeine. And in a lot of ways, it's worse than alcohol, marijuana, and these other drugs.
Yeah, I'm addicted to caffeine.
I'm addicted to caffeine. I won't
And
deny
sugar.
I'm
another
addicted
one.
to sugar caffeine.
Yeah.
it. Sugary caffeine. Mm.
Yeah. Well, that's hour number 1, folks. Oh, if you want to call the program, by the way, 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom, 1-800-525-4032. You guys love it when I do that, don't you?
I do.
Absolutely.
It's actually funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, look, hour number 2 is coming up. We got Robin Williams, Iraq, and Brandon. In that order. We're listening to Liberty Underground.
this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Are the people hearing our message, and they're realizing that the libertarian philosophy is essentially what most people believe. It's the simple philosophy that government should be limited, held within its constitutional boundaries, and that other than that, should pretty much leave people alone to live their lives as they see fit, so long as they're not harming anyone else. I'm Adrian Wiley, Libertarian candidate for Governor of Florida, and I approve this message.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. If you want to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. Refresh Telecom, 1-800-525-4032. We just can't say enough nice things about Refresh Telecom. Can we?
No, we cannot.
Say something nice about them.
They will not give your information over to the NSA.
Say something else nice about them.
I love them. They have really good service. Their phone service is actually really good.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, let's get into it. This week, we lost, or well, we lost. I mean, it's not like he was under the couch or something. Robin Williams
Why
died.
did you misplace him?
Yeah. Where did Robin Williams go? He died. Robin Williams died. Now, it looks like he killed himself. So it looks like he hung himself. He used a
belt.
He used a belt and killed and offed himself. And the first thought, I mean, again, he committed suicide. I think the first thing that you do want to realize is that, and I don't think I've even talked to, I definitely haven't talked to Greg about this, but I probably haven't even talked to you about this. For people like Robin Williams who are just comic geniuses or artsy people, I guess you could say, maybe not artsy is not the right word for it, but that are, comic geniuses. And I was reading something and it kind of made me think about this, but these people live on a different like plane of existence, and that's enough to drive you batty.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And they got that way not necessarily for good reasons. Like, you know what I mean? Like how they developed that skill early as a child could be because they weren't being paid attention to, like bad parenting.
Yeah, coping mechanism.
Bad parenting can either get you, and like I said, look, the reason we have so many strip clubs in this country is also because of bad parenting. Your job as a parent is to keep your daughter off the pole.
Okay, that's like I don't understand this equation here.
How many times I got a bad mom or a bad dad?
Men like to look at naked women because of bad parenting. I'm missing the point here.
No, you look at the other side of the equation. Here. But back to Robin Williams. He was a comic genius, but you could see the madness within it.
Oh, I have no doubt that he was bipolar, probably also manic depressive.
Funny as shit, though.
Oh, absolutely. But like you were saying, a lot of comic geniuses are that way. A lot of artistic geniuses are that way. Basically, all geniuses are that way. There is a bit of madness that comes along with that genius, and it drives them crazy. And it's really sad to see it, especially in artists like comedians and musicians. There is a real heavy depressive streak, which leads them down the road of suicide,
where they could kill themselves.
And it's almost every person that has a very high IQ, where they would be borderline on the line of genius or above, does struggle with mental issues and depression, especially depression.
Yeah.
And that's just with all those things going on in your head, it's almost an overload.
And I'm going to say this, and this is going to sound a little, I don't want to say, it might sound cold and it might even be rude. That's the price you pay. You don't get all that other stuff without the risk of those things.
Well, I mean, I
if you're going to live on the edge sometimes you're going to fall off the edge. And those people, you find the true genius on the edge. That's where the genius is. It's on the edge. And it can cause you to go insane, but it also can give you some phenomenal performances and some stuff. I'm not saying that he deserves it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that as a society, we got to understand that these guys, look, dudes cut their ears off. Oh,
yeah.
Dudes have done, he ain't the only one that's done this before. Dudes take shotguns to their head. Unless it might have been Courtney Love that did it. But I don't know that part to be true or not true. But that's the kinds of things that happen, though. You know what you do is you cherish them for the time that you have them. You carpe diem.
Yes.
Seize the day.
Diem.
And that's actually the thing I did. If I only put out one post on the whole thing.
Me too.
And it was in my opinion, it was the most memorable post of any of the performances that he ever did. And it's the one that, like, I almost feel like I'm going to cry at this point because I really did like Robin Williams. I loved him as an actor. Yeah. I loved him as a comedian. I think he spoke to me on a level, and this is. Look,
do you want me to play it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead and keep talking. I'll get it pulled up.
Wow, Greg, good job. But he was one of those guys that spoke to me, especially with a lot of his performances. Now, again, somebody else is writing some of this stuff, but a lot of those things are actually unscripted parts.
Well, most of what Robin Williams did, and any director or a writer that's ever worked with him will tell you that the majority of all of his movies are actually, his part in it is completely unscripted. He goes by a very loose kind of script. Nobody writes actual words for him because he literally just gets into the character and does it on his own.
Yeah. One of his most memorable performances is Dead Poets Society.
Yes.
That was one of the best. There's so many different life lessons to learn in Dead Poets Society that it's not even funny. But I think without a doubt, by far, the best part was the part that Greg probably has set up ready to go right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead and play that part.
Now, Mr. Pitts. It's a rather unfortunate name. Mr. Pitts. Where are you? Mr. Pitts, will you open your hymnal to page 542? Read the first stanza of the poem you find there.
To the virgins to make much of time?
Yes, that's the one. Somewhat appropriate, isn't it?
Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Old time is still a-flying. And this same flower that smiles today, tomorrow will be dying.
Thank you, Mr. Pitts. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. The Latin term for that sentiment is carpe diem. Now, who knows what that means?
Carpe diem. That's seize the day.
Very good, Mr.
Meeks.
Meeks. Another unusual name. Seize the day. Gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Why does the writer use these lines?
Because he's in a hurry.
No. Ding! Thank you for playing anyway. Because we are food for worms, lads. Because believe it or not, each and every one of us in this room is one day going to stop breathing, turn cold, and die. I'd like you to step forward over here and peruse some of the faces from the past. You've walked past them many times. I don't think you've really looked at them. They're not that different from you, are they? Same haircuts, full of hormones, just like you. Invincible, just like you feel. The world is their oyster. They believe they're destined for great things, just like many of you. Their eyes are full of hope, just like you. Did they wait until it was too late to make from their lives even one iota of what they were capable? Because you see, gentlemen, these boys are now fertilizing daffodils. But if you listen real close, you can hear them whisper their legacy to you. Go on, lean in. Listen. You hear it?
Now, here's the thing. I'm saddened by his death. I'm saddened by Robin Williams' death. I really, like I said, I think he was a phenomenal actor. But would you say that he lived an extraordinary life?
Yes.
Yeah.
So would you say that overall his life was successful then?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you look at, and again, all of us are going to die, said it in the quote. I mean, it's very apropos in that aspect. Celebrate the man's life. Don't worry as much. I mean, don't, celebrate his life and be sad for his passing. But sometimes there's not a solution to these problems. Now, it comes out later on, and Danielle, there might be another reason why he did it.
He had recently been diagnosed with the early stages of Parkinson's disease. He was someone who was struggling with depression anyways. He had struggled with substance abuse for many years, but he was clean and sober at the time, but he was using things like cycling and a lot of physical activity to manage the depression so that he didn't have to be on psychotropic drugs and things like that because he needed to stay sober and not fall back into drug addiction. And the early stages of Parkinson's disease were preventing him from doing that as well, and were going to strictly, prevent him from any of that coming on. And they, his wife and his family put out a statement that said that they feel that those things made it too much for him to handle anymore.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it happens. And if somebody wants to off themselves on their terms, I'm not gonna judge that. That's his business at that point. Like I said, I feel bad that he passed. He don't want to run like Michael J. Fox. I mean, look at that guy.
Well, it's interesting,
which is nowhere near the comic genius of Robin Williams, by the way. But that's a different story.
It's interesting because the night before, I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about like dead rock stars, really, like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, the rock stars who died early, whether it's from suicide or drug overdose or whatever. And a lot of times we talk about it and we're like, man, I wish Jimi Hendrix would have lived on and we could see what else he would have done. But then I'm like, well, in a way, I'm kind of glad that he didn't, because do you really want to see a 63-year-old Jimi Hendrix, touring or playing Las Vegas or whatever, and just, really damaging his own legacy by getting up on stage when he really shouldn't, and just writing these horrible songs that he's writing 50 years later? We saw him in his prime. We saw him when he was his most genius, and that brightest flame burned quickest and burned out. Do we really want to see Jimi Hendrix doing the 17th final tour, like Kiss?
Yeah.
Right.
Or Janis Joplin on Oprah talking about substance abuse.
Right.
Yeah. In a way, these people are legendary and iconic because we lost them so early, because all we got out of them was their greatness.
Yeah.
And we didn't see them trying to hold on to greatness that they didn't have anymore for decades.
I actually
if Jackson died in 90.
Right.
Yeah. My favorite movie of all times is actually a really obscure movie that most people have never even seen, and it is a Robin Williams movie. And
what's it called?
The World According to Garp?
No, it's called What Dreams May Come, and it is it's actually a complete movie about suicide.
And isn't it about him and his wife?
Yeah, the children, they have 2 children who die in a car accident, and the wife commits suicide. And it's actually a movie completely set in, as people cross over, and she had committed suicide and was kind of in this purgatory hell kind of situation, and he had died and was actually there pulling her out of that state. And it was just a complete movie about suicide that he was in, and I thought was his greatest movie that almost no one has ever heard of.
I've heard of it. Isn't Cuba Gooding Jr. in that movie?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. See here, right? Even your obscure ones, I can find something in.
Well, lots of movies. Most people have never heard of it. When if anyone's ever asked me what is your favorite movie, although I do not watch a lot of movies, that one is, and I will say What Dreams May Come and had Robin Williams in it, and they're like, what?
How about another obscure Robin Williams movie, The Fisher King?
Oh, I love that movie. We were talking about that one.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges was in that one.
But it was when I heard about his suicide, it was very, because I know that movie so well, and because that is my favorite movie, and that movie was almost completely about the suicide of this person, and so it was just a very kind of, I went back to references in that movie thinking about him in that, but definitely he's going to be missed, and I don't like some of the people that are, calling him names and things like that. Depression is a very serious illness that anyone who has not suffered it at any point in their life doesn't understand, because you don't know why you're so sad. It's not like you could say, well, what are you sad about? Why are you depressed? It's not sadness over something. It's a state of mind that you just can't get yourself out of, even though you even understand that you have no rational reason to be there. You still can't pull yourself out of it. So I my condolences to his family, and I hope more people learn about the actual, symptoms of depression, and to be able to handle that in their family and loved ones better than a lot of times it's handled.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. And the people that are using this to advance their own agenda, by the way, screw you. I mean, seriously, screw you. It's just, this guy is, if you got nothing nice to say at this point, just shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the freedom to say it. I ain't trying to pass a law or nothing, but
you should shut up.
But you should shut your hole.
Yeah.
You really should.
Because you're really you're not benefiting anything from what you're saying. You are just proving your own ignorance.
Yeah. You're proving yourself to be a dumbass. So there you go. There you go.
But another big thing in the news was obviously we had some votes this week, and some other things going on with the Iraq war. Well, they want to say it's not a war, but it is a war. I don't care how often you may say we're not there, but we are there again. And we have actually, Obama has now the green light to have airstrikes actually go on again. So for anyone who says that war is over, you need to get out more.
Well, yeah, now Maliki has now agreed to resign.
Yes, the prime minister
the
of
guy
Iraq.
we put in.
Yes.
The guy that screwed it all up.
Al-Maliki has officially resigned as the prime minister. He's relinquished his power, which actually makes things less stable in the region than, had he stayed there.
Well, he needed to go though.
Oh, definitely he needed to go, but the way in which he's just kind of stepped down and relinquished power without having any elections or anything like that in a state right now where there is mass chaos going on and fighting going on, it leaves the country open basically to go back to a dictatorship, to have a coup, for very bad forces to take over the government, and definitely is going to fuel the United States government to intervene, because that's what we think we always should do when there's civil unrest. We don't intervene in Ferguson where it looks the same as what's going on in Iraq and on our soil, but we do feel like it's our job to intervene there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, no, that's very, very true. Boy, are we sucking at that stuff. I don't. Now, I can say what I was going to say before.
Yeah.
I want you to understand what's currently going on right now in Iraq and how just the past couple years of what happened. Okay, so we go into Iraq, we get rid of the current military that was there, that was keeping the country all together. Now, don't get me wrong, it was through a dictatorship, but they were keeping the country all together. So we completely dismantle that, but we put in a portion of people that are going to, and again, there's 3 factions in Iraq. Different religious sects and different kinds of Sunnis and Shias and Kurds and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
All of that and a bag of chips. Doritos. So we have this going on in Iraq. So we basically get rid of all of the infrastructure. We institute this guy who's going to be against, who's not going to try to bring everybody together. He's not the uniter. He's going to oppress the Sunnis. And we well equip the Iraqis. So we go in there for a long time. We bomb a bunch of stuff. We kill a bunch of people. We equip the Iraqis with our weaponry. In addition to that, Syria. Now, while that's going on, everything's, we're over there, we're over there, we're over there. Then we leave. Now, you can say we left. That is one word to use. You can also say that we tried to stay longer and the Iraqis threw us out.
That would be a more accurate way of describing the situation.
So what did we do? Syria was blowing up around the same time frame, and so was Libya. So what do? The guys that we were fighting in Iraq, we equip in Syria and in Libya.
Yes.
This is not up for discussion. This is not an opinionated statement. This is what we friggin' did.
And the U.S. government admits to it. They just use the word rebel when you're talking about the forces in Syria and Libya, even though the same guys are the ones in Iraq that we called bad guys.
And we have McCain taking selfies with them.
With the rebels who are the same group of people that were the bad guys in Iraq that McCain wanted to bomb.
So we equip those people with our weapons too. And instead of going after Assad, which they were doing for a while, but then they kind of quit, they said, well, let's just go the other way and get a whole bunch of weapons. Because you just given the weapons to a bunch of people that are cowards in Iraq. So now ISIS went through Iraq, got very well equipped with the weapons that the Iraqis dropped off for them. Literally.
Now, some of the reports are, some of the original reports were that they were cowards in Iraq that put down their weapons. It is looking more as if it was a tribal dispute over many of the military were actually Sunnis. The government that we installed was Shia. The Sunnis were part of ISIS, which was coming over. So they were like, oh, you're actually one of us. Let me put down the weapons because I'm not going to fight you. We're actually part of the same tribe.
Okay, I'll go with that. Okay. Either way, we shouldn't have been given the weapons. So
yes.
Now, ISIS, who we started to equip in Syria, who we finished off equipping in Iraq, are now going after and trying to take over the whole of Iraq. Now, the ISIS guys are some real bad guys. They are extremists to the nth degree. they are killing a lot of people.
Apparently, when you are a rebel in Syria or Libya, as soon as you cross the border over into Iraq, you become a ruthless bad guy.
Correct. Very good, Danielle. And so
So
these
weird,
guys,
like a transporter device or something. Like you just come through there and you're different. Oh, now I'm a bad guy.
I'm going to use another Star Trek term here. And like the Borg, these guys are like convert or die. And so they're like convert or we're going to kill you. And they're killing everybody that isn't converting with our weapons. Because again, if you see some of the ISIS pictures, they're holding M16s.
Yep.
They're made in the USA stamp.
Driving around in Hummers.
Yep.
That we bought or that you bought with taxpayer money. So, we had a good time with
You
that.
probably paid twice.
So they're going after the Kurds now, who are using the Russian weapons. Meanwhile, Iran is agreeing with us that we should stop these guys, and Iran is trying to help out. So now we're on the side with Iran against the ISIS guys. Saudi Arabia helped fund these guys that we're up against, but they're our friends. And now we're going to use American bombers to go and bomb American equipment to save Russian equipment in northern Iraq. If your head hasn't exploded yet, then you stopped listening 2 minutes ago.
We need to make a diagram. Just make a chart and do the lines.
Honestly, look, you remember the healthcare chart?
Yes.
The Obamacare chart?
Yes.
That would be reasonable compared to the chart that we would have to do for this. Do you know how big and expansive this chart would end up being? Actually, it would all go back to the CIA, but different story for a different day. But this is what's going on over there. Now, here's our next option. Do we, A, continue to get involved, seeing our dismal track record? And again, there was no victory there. Like, well, Bush left it in a victorious state. Bullshit. That's bullshit, and you know it. And here's why. This was going to happen at one point as soon as we left.
Because Shias, Sunnis, and Kurds don't like each other.
Yeah. The only reason they were able to, the Iraq was able to stay as Iraq is because we funded a dictator in Saddam Hussein. Don't believe me? Look at the picture of him and Rumsfeld shaking hands. Again, our fault.
They were buds. They were like
This ain't-
BFFs.
Hold on. And this ain't blame America. This is blame politicians.
Yeah.
This is blame Rumsfeld. This is blame Cheney. This is blame Bush. This is blame Bolton. This is blame Obama. This is blame Clinton. All of these people are at fault. And in all honesty, all of these people should be in jail. Every stinking one of them should be in the hole right now.
Both Bushes, by the way.
Both Bushes. Oh, mind you, The Guardian just put out a piece about Bush's father and how they were helping the Nazis, but different story for a different day. We want to talk about all the problems that we've had. Maybe World War II might even have been Bush's fault.
Well,
Preston
not that Bush. Yeah,
Preston
Yeah.
Bush, which is Bush Sr.'s father.
I mean, he was a war profiteer selling weapons to the Nazis.
I'm just saying. You're just saying. Somebody's just saying.
Everybody is saying, but at
So,
this point, everybody.
Historical record is saying.
Yeah. That's probably a better way to say it. So, but let's get back to Iraq. Again, we're using our bombers to bomb the American Hummers and and all American arms.
Our weapons that we gave to the bad guys that were good guys when they were in another country.
Correct. When we tell you, and look, here's the thing. The next person that tells me that non-interventionist foreign policy is somehow crazy, I'm going to bring you enlistment papers into the armed services. Because if you think that it's not crazy to what we're currently doing right now, as compared to, and I love this, by the way. Well, what's your answer then? Like they'll go to us. Well, what's your answer to all of this then? Hey, Dick, you want my answer? Stop giving them weapons.
All of them.
All of them. Stop it. Just don't do it. Again, we're already in the middle of the mess. You can't blame me for the mess.
Yeah, I'm kind of done trying to help them. They need to justify their position. Instead of me explaining to them why a non-interventionist foreign policy is better, they need to justify to me why the interventionist foreign policy is acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the next...
where it's working.
I think I
Yeah.
do... I want to make the chart of all the lines that are going to look like spaghetti. And then as soon as someone says, well, you can't have non-interventionists, that would be crazy. And I want to hand them the paper of the chart of spaghetti and say how this is not crazy.
Yeah. It's completely insane. It's more than that. It's criminal.
Yes.
You're advocating for criminal behavior, and you're wrapping it under the guise of national security. While there is again, look, ISIS can say whatever they want to from Iraq. They really can at the end of the day. And somebody can take a selfie of an ISIS picture in front of the White House. Which they did. Oh, well, we got to make sure that we can't, what are you going to do, ban selfies? Because that's all it was. It was a selfie. It was probably some teenager with a prank, like, I'm going to put this selfie picture. Look at this. It's going to scare the crap out of everybody.
But here's the thing.
Or I'm going to make a white flag in Brooklyn.
If we would stop arming them, they would never have the capability themselves to harm us.
Yeah. And let's go back to, and here's the other thing, too. Again, let's look at history. Let's go back to Eisenhower. What did he warn us about? The military-industrial complex. Well, look, take it all in, folks. Take it all in again. Hold on. Take it all in, because what you're seeing right now is the military-industrial complex at its height, or its depth, whichever way you want to look at it. But this is what you're looking at, man. What the hell? Again, I'm not the crazy one. I just sound crazy because I'm the normal one in a sea of crazy.
We sound crazy because we're making sense in a world that doesn't.
Yeah, because what we're saying is totally ripping at your foundation of what you think we're doing. And again, I'm not blaming the troops. I'm not blaming America per se. I am blaming the war profiteers and the politicians who have also stayed in office because of this. It is their fault, not everybody else's. It's their fault. Remember that. And here's the thing. If you really got a problem with that, 1-800-525-4032. You call me, you tell me why I'm wrong. You better be able to back your case up, though. Are we just going straight to Brandon from here, or are we taking a break?
It's up to you.
What do you think?
Well, why don't we take a break so I can get some other stuff pulled up?
All right. We'll take a break. All right, we'll take a break. Couple minutes. We get back. We got Brandon for the rest of the from 10:30 on, or 10:30 for the rest of the hour. So.
Yeah.
So we got to wait for Greg to finish his thing off, though. We went too long.
We did go a little too long.
Nah, my fault. We went too long. So, key the music.
Well, you're looking at me. I can't key the music.
Key something. Somebody key something.
Hold on.
Hold on a second now. Hold on now. Oh, there's the music. All right, there we go. Sorry, we had a lot of moving parts up there. A lot of moving parts. All right, Liberty Underground. When we get back, Brandon, and he's probably going to tell us why we're wrong. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
The people hearing our message, and they're realizing that the libertarian philosophy is essentially what most people believe. It's the simple philosophy that government should be limited, held within its constitutional boundaries, and that other than that, should pretty much leave people alone to live their lives as they see fit, so long as they're not harming anyone else. I'm Adrian Wiley, Libertarian candidate for Governor of Florida, and I approve this message.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know, Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. If you would like to, well, don't call the program right now. Let's not do that part. On the phone with us, a gentleman that needs no introduction in a minute.
Although we're going to introduce him anyways.
Yeah, although we are going to have to introduce him at this point. He is the purveyor of the Global Dispatch. He's a good guy. He is, just really, I would say he really, when we have him on the program, he really does offer a different perspective. And I do like the perspective. We don't always agree.
No.
But it's a good thing that we don't, though. I like that part. His name is Brandon. Brandon, how you doing, sir?
Doing very well. How's everybody?
I'm doing pretty good, man.
Well.
Great. So what is going on in the Global Dispatch world?
Well, you've been covering a lot of the big stories, so I'm not sure how to add to that or how you want to dive in a little bit deeper. So you might have to drive this car for a little bit.
All right, no. I want to ask you. I'm going to ask for your take on some of the stuff. Then, so we're going to go. And we're going to start with Ferguson because I know you got that on the front of the site. What's your take on what's going on over there?
Well, we still have some contradictory facts as far as the actual shooting of Michael Brown, but I wanted to make our headline is this was the testimony of the two witnesses that saw what they saw, and it's very discriminating against what we've heard from the police force. So until the police force decides to be a lot more transparent about the incidents of the night, they're going to continue to look worse and worse. And it just really appears though they're just trying to find a spin. They're going to try to find a way to try to reshuffle this for what happened because everything else just looks really bad. It's really sad and disheartening to know how the rioters and protesters and all that has sort of transpired, and there's really not an innocent party, in all of this, because, you got looting and violence going on, you have police showing up in riot gear, reinstigates more violence. I mean, it's been one bad scenario after another, and, sadly, it's just hard to watch. And, of course, the trump card the media's been distracted by is that, we have two journalists that get detained, and there's really not a clear answer. We spent some time this morning trying to dig a little bit down that rabbit's hole and really can't get a clear answer on the police actually trying to discuss and confess why did they detain two reporters from McDonald's. Who they're hanging out, they're having some coffee and charging their laptops, they're working, they're doing what they do, and it turned kind of ugly. And so everything about this situation is really just a very negative one.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, it's now, eyewitness accounts of what happened, and the police seem to be hiding all of the stuff. What would you expect? I mean, at that point, all they're doing is proving that the eyewitnesses were probably right.
Well, and that's the problem. Their silence is really making the case. It's going to make the case much more difficult for this officer. And I know they're trying to probably keep his family safe and do some things like that. But at some point, you're making the situation worse by keeping it all cloak and dagger. So now we're headed into an official week, right? It'll be a week this weekend, and we still don't really know from the authority side of things the actual details of what their story is and what happened. And for them to not do this, it really is just fueling more anti-police sentiment, a lot more corruption theories. I mean, just all sorts of stuff, and that's just not good for anyone.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now, Robin Williams, what's your take on this one?
Well, obviously, it's sad and it's disheartening any time that we lose someone who's as talented as he is. I mean, the resume of films, we could just go back and forth and name a film. We could probably name 50 films that are just massive. I think we wrote that his films have made over $3 billion at the box office. So, it's hard. I don't personally struggle from depression. My wife and I both have this discussion, so it's hard for us to understand, what happens and what triggers this. I know there's been a couple reports, but nothing I think has been confirmed by the family that might have driven him to make the decision that he made. And it's just a tragedy. We've gone through this before with other celebrities. I doubt it'll end. But it's very hard.
Yeah, no, I got to agree with you on that one as well. Now, go ahead.
Another thing that came out this week that we didn't actually talk about was James Brady's death has actually been ruled a homicide 33 years after John Hinckley Jr. shot him. And I did some research on this, and this is actually very common for people to be harmed in an incident and then die later on, sometimes decades later from complications of that incident, and the person be charged with murder at that point.
It's definitely more common than I thought it was, but it was such a bizarre story, especially if someone of high stature as Brady, and to have it kind of released, and it just got overshadowed. The media just kind of glossed over the story. But, you hear 33, the man lives for 33 years. How is that a homicide? And that's a very interesting, perplexing problem, not only for us, but also for the court system.
Yeah, it is kind of weird that way. If you survived it, but then later on you died because of some of the complications, I don't know. I just don't...
I actually, I didn't see a reason for it to be ruled a homicide or for John Hinckley. Now they're looking at possibly, charging him with murder and things like that.
Well, hasn't he been in jail the whole time?
Yeah, he has. But the man was 73 years old. James Brady was. And while they're ruling it as complications from him being shot, I'm sure his age played a major factor because he had these complications for over 30 years, and it didn't kill him in those 33 years. I would assume that it was probably age coupled in with those factors that actually caused his death. I would think at 73 years old, any, ailments or anything that you have are definitely going to get worse with age and be less hard for your body to cope with. I don't know if that's necessarily a homicide or if it was just, a complication, injuries that were sustaining from an attempted murder that with age got progressively worse, and it was age that actually caused you to be deceased from those complications.
Yeah, for the autopsy, the medical examiner to point to homicide, point to that so directly was something that I really haven't seen a whole lot. I'm not real familiar with that happening, but it is more regular than I thought it was doing some research in this. But like I said, it is definitely a fascinating point of conversation.
Yeah. Now, the next thing, we'll go into Iraq. You're seeing what's going on. You're seeing what's going on there right now. What is your take on where we're currently at right now on this?
Well, I don't know. I must have missed when you guys talked about Iraq, so I don't know what you've covered, what you haven't. The Islamic State's their current name. They're going to, I guess, shed the ISIS label. So that was Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and just go with Islamic State. This week has been full of more negative situations. They're expanding their power and control in northern Syria, more oppression, more violence and abuse. The weapons that are being used in Iraq, in particular northern Iraq, that we're, quote, fighting against, are the same weapons that these Sunni Muslims acquired mostly in Syria when they were being armed by us. We went back to this. We had a good conversation about this yesterday because I remember being on the one of our very first radio shows was right after McCain and Graham went to Egypt and then Syria. They came back. They were just so surprised by the violence, and they were talking about how much more we needed to arm these rebels. Well, these are Sunni rebels, so they've taken those weapons. They've moved to Iraq, expanding their geography of control, basically. So we're fighting people that have the weapons that we gave them, and it is very, very violent. It's very awful situations. Children being killed. You can't be a Christian in this area and be safe at all. It's very, very shocking how the brutality has come full circle. What's weird about the situation in Iraq, I think it's most intriguing, is how much it doesn't matter who's in office, folks, because if the Obama administration is now suddenly going to try to befriend Iran, it really just shows you that these people are just completely shills when it comes to a violent intervention. Because if you remember, Iran was the enemy because they were on the side, they're Shia, so they were on the side of Assad in Syria. So they were the bad guys in Syria. But now the Russians and Iran are okay to support us because we're fighting on the side of they're mostly Kurds, but more Shia-minded individuals, but it's against the Sunnis. The Sunnis are enemies. So, again, it's just a flip-flop, back and forth. Reality is you're not going to quell the discontent between the Sunnis and the Shias in particular, and how both groups can't stand the Kurds, which are the real small minority, and they're the ones that are closest to Russia. That's why they cling to Russia for support, because it's just the geography there. But it's just a mess, and there's no way to resolve this easily. And I think that's where these politicians, they want to play this game and just pretend that we don't have internet and pretend that we don't have a memory.
You know what
Oh, that's the line of the day right there.
what I would like to see, and I think that more people would understand the craziness that this whole situation is if we kept to using the tribal names, no matter what country we were talking about, instead of calling it Al Qaeda or Taliban or ISIS, but go down to because this really is literally tribal wars going on right there. And if you were to always use,
I disagree with that. I have to stop and disagree with you there, because they changed their name. They do this themselves. Mm-hmm. They're much smarter than that. They're way beyond. That would have been the case, I believe, 20 years ago. But it's beyond tribal now. These groups are much more organized. They're very smart with their PR to their own people and how they handle things for recruiting purposes. These YouTube videos that pop up. We had just a thing we posted where Voice News went through and embedded with these folks. And it is not what we started out with when Afghanistan fought against Russia. Things have changed so much. And I agree with you saying. It is confusing. Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra was in Syria, but reality is they're either a Sunni group, a Shiite group, and the Kurds usually are not a violent group. They want to be left alone, but they're such a small group, they get picked on by the other two. Because that's why the Saudis are Sunni, so anything that's Sunni, that's why their blood is on their hands, and versus the Shia. So it is confusing for Americans, but I think it's also by design for them as well, because they create a lot of confusion to the ignorant press. The reporters don't have a clue to what's going on because they don't want to spend the time understanding this, and they don't want to call it what it is. The religious war. So I don't agree with the tribal part of your assessment, but I definitely would agree that it is confusing.
I think that if we were to always call, well, and they do, and you're right, it is them that are changing their names, but we fall into that as easily, our mainstream media falls right into that, where, the American people always think that this is a different group, when at the end of the day, these aren't different groups. These are Sunni, Shia, and Kurds. And Kurds generally get pulled in because of, other things, because they tend to just not want to be involved anyways. But if we were to say we're arming Sunnis in Libya, we're fighting Sunnis in Iraq, then people can go, well, wait a minute, that doesn't seem rational. When we're saying we're fighting, we're arming rebels here and fighting ISIS in Iraq, it gives the American people the impression that these are different groups.
That's a good point that we might have to use on our own reporting. That's a good point, because I can still refer to them as the Islamic State, a Sunni group or a Shiite group, if we're talking about an Assad regime or something like this. So it's a very good point you're bringing up to help better identify them more uniformly across the board. That probably would have been a better tack on our part even.
Yeah. Well, look, that's why we're having these discussions. It's a beautiful thing. It's America. Well, that's not America. That's over there, but
that's actually the Middle East.
Yeah, that's actually the Middle East. But no, you're absolutely right, though. I mean, it is the name change stuff, and I think that our own media. And I know we're going. Well, they're not taking the time to learn the information, but I think that what they're doing is they're going with the talking points from our administration, from either this one or the past one, and they're kind of. I don't want to say that they're in on it, hiding it, but our own administration's hiding it, because if they told the American people the truth of who they're arming and where they're arming them, then eventually people would go, but hold on, you guys are doing. Well, why would you do something that stupid?
Right. Why are you arming the same people you're fighting? Aren't you kind of starting to fight your own arms now?
Yeah. And that's what we're doing right now, which again, it goes into the insanity of the current foreign policy and the disingenuous to call somebody that says we may not want to do it insane. Like if you say, well, we probably shouldn't be arming all these people. Oh, that's just completely crazy. Why would you say that?
We were arming rebels over there. We had to arm the rebels.
You want to make America unsafe by not giving our enemies weapons. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me whenever they say it. It's like, how am I insane? You were completely crazy right there. And I'm trying to explain it to you in a very rational way. Well, my rationality is probably going away at this point because I'm equally as crazy at these people at this point. Now, is there anything that's big that's been going on out there that you have on the Global Dispatch that we might have missed?
Just that Hezbollah is back in the foray against Israel, so expect some interesting pressure that could be forming from that group, especially on the northern side where Syria is. They came out very publicly this week, and there's a big interview that's dropping today in one of their papers over there, so we'll be looking at that. And that's just very interesting. They're already dealing with the Hamas situation to see Hezbollah as well. It's just that was a big story as well that didn't get any legs in the mainstream press.
I got you, yeah. Now, we have not been able to get. Well, hold on a second here. We have not been able to get into many TV shows here
for the last couple.
Couple of weeks now. But we are going to be able.
Before we do TV, I do want to say one thing. I wanted to ask Danielle, because she at least admitted that What Dreams May Come is one of her favorite movies, or the favorite movie. I may have misunderstood that, but did you know that's from Shakespeare?
I didn't. I did actually know that, I've read the Shakespeare play as well, and I am actually a big fan of Shakespeare in general, so I like a lot of movies. There was the other one that Danny DeVito was in, Renaissance Man, that went through the Hamlet, and I actually do really enjoy those movies. But I did know that it did come from Shakespeare, and What Dreams May Come is by far my favorite movie.
Cool. Okay.
All right.
We can resume with your TV worship.
So, Walking Dead. So I guess there's a teaser that comes out here, and I don't understand the teaser. Is that Daryl could be gay?
Yes. Yeah, if you click the Walking Dead tab at the top, you'll see several of the recent articles. There's about 6 or so. They're not all the Global Dispatch. A lot of them are outside for the Walking Dead fans. It's impossible to keep up with Walking Dead. But yeah, the latest thing is that there's a possibility they're kind of hinting at, because a lot of fans are really asking about Daryl's sexuality or asexuality in many cases or whatever, and there's a lot of hints that they may try to make his character gay at some point. So it's just another little nugget in the Walking Dead fan universe.
Yeah, I don't even. Here's the thing: I don't understand. I mean, there's been no sign that he's been gay. Really? I mean,
but I guess it's because he's been very, there's no talk about women. There's not been any move. I don't know. I don't know where this comes from, but it is something that's of interest, I guess, to some of the fans.
And it does start October 12th, though, so that it's gonna be back on October 12th. And I got to tell you again, I love this show. I really do think that this show is appointment television per se, you know. And I don't get many shows that are like that, but this is one of them.
Yeah, I can't wait. October 12th is the day.
Yep. Now, one other thing, and I think Danielle has. I want to bring up something that maybe Danielle would even like. It's going to be tough because it's so hard to find anything that. Well, no. Let's go with something Greg likes instead. Shark Week. He's got Shark Week.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have a lot of Shark Week, actually.
All right. So what's going on with Shark Week?
It is the week of the shark.
It is the week of the shark.
Shark Week had a record-breaking start. I mean, it was really a phenomenal beginning for them. They really couldn't be more thrilled about how things got off to a big start. Record-breaking numbers for them, and yeah, it rolls on day after day. It's all week this week.
Shark Week did teach me that zombie is the official buzzword of this decade, just like extreme was the official buzzword of the 90s. Zombie is the official buzzword of this decade. Yes, Zombie Sharks is an hour-long program about putting sharks into a catatonic state titled Zombie Sharks.
Wow. Okay.
They were not undead. They were not stumbling around the ocean, drooling on themselves. No, they were just going upside down and going catatonic.
If you stab them in the head, do they die?
I imagine they do. That's not what they were doing in the show.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess we'll have to go with that then. Oh, hold on a second here, by the way. One other thing. It says on the movie news area, Godzilla 2 is going to be set for 2018. Can we not come out with another Godzilla? I mean, really, do we really need another Godzilla? This thing has been beaten, pardon my French, like a dead horse.
Well, I think the problem here is you're not embracing the fact that this is property that someone owns. They're going to make money on it. The movie they just came out made $500 million, so it's a no-brainer that we're going to come out with another movie. So you kind of sound like Adrian a little bit there, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point right now. I will tell you that it does question my involvement in trying to change the country if they're spending $500 million on Godzilla. I actually feel a little bit more disappointed in things right now because of this.
Are you going to complain about yet another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie as well?
Not as much because there haven't been as many of them. Like they've done way too many Godzilla movies.
This is like the third reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Well,
it was not very good.
Oh, have you seen it?
Speaking of good or bad, did you actually see Lucy?
No, I haven't seen Lucy yet, man. I haven't had time.
We have been so busy.
Yeah,
we haven't even seen our family.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see it yet.
Haven't even
man.
seen Kelly.
By the time I'm going to be able to see it, it'll be out on like Netflix or something. And it's pissing me off.
It's going to be on NBC with commercial breaks.
It's pissing me off too because I really want to go and see it.
The thing is, last night we actually got home a little earlier than we have been, and Kelly was gone.
Yeah.
Like, we have not seen our family in weeks.
Yeah, it's really horrible. So, but no, I haven't seen it yet, though, unfortunately. I have not seen it yet, man. But, well, maybe I'll get there one day, though. I have to live my movie life vicariously through you, Brandon. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. Well, I will recommend When the Game Stands Tall. It opens August 22nd then. It is a great sports movie. It's a football movie with Jim Caviezel, Michael Chiklis, based on a true story of a high school in California that had won over 150 games in a row. So it takes place when the streak comes to an end and how they kind of battle through adversity. It's a great film.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, that does sound kind of cool, actually. Hold on, they win all these games in a row. They don't make the movie until they lose. Like, that kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. But we'll have to go with it. All right, his name is Brandon. The website is theglobaldispatch.com. Brandon, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it, brother.
Till next week, talk hard.
Talk hard. Till next week. All right. That was good. I like Brandon.
I always like Brandon.
Brandon always brings some a good perspective and doesn't always agree, by the way. I like the fact that there is not agreement on things all the time, even though it's funny when he mentioned, like, he's like, I didn't hear what you guys were talking about with the ISIS thing. And then he goes down the same road that we go down with that, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually kind of funny that he does go down the same road. And I don't think Norman Reedus, I don't think that Daryl is gay. I'm just saying. And again, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't think he's gay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
they're doing
the show.
I really wish you would see the show.
I know you do, because I know, it's one of those times where Alex is gonna I'm gonna enjoy TV, and I actually think he'd like us to be there so we could all enjoy it together, because we really liked having that time with Revolution where we would all be together and watch a show. But literally, he puts it on and everybody leaves the room.
Clears like I farted.
I think it clears faster than if you farted.
It doesn't clear faster than that. It's a great show though. I really do like the show. Greg, you like the show, don't you?
I haven't watched it.
I thought you did watch it.
No. The whole zombie buzzword thing. I mean, zombie is so overplayed, it just doesn't even get my interest anymore.
I guess. The one thing I find is that in normal zombie movies, though, you don't get to the depth that this one gets to.
Right.
Because of the longevity of the movie.
Right. A movie's only 2 hours long, whereas a series like this, you can deal with a lot more.
Yeah.
You can go into the depth of the relationships of the survivors and stuff like that.
And you can see different stuff, too. They're having to go house to house. All right, well, let's take a break here. All right, we're going to take a break. When we get back, it's hour number 3. It's the one live on Tan Talk 1340, which is where we save all the best stuff. If you do want to call the program, 1-800-525-4032, but let's take a break. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
The people hearing our message, and they're realizing that the libertarian philosophy is essentially what most people believe. It's the simple philosophy that government should be limited, held within its constitutional boundaries, and that other than that, should pretty much leave people alone to live their lives as they see fit, so long as they're not harming anyone else. I'm Adrian Wiley, Libertarian candidate for Governor of Florida, and I approve this message.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883, or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know, Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority, man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen of the man with the rifle in his hand. Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken. I will not submit to authority, man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Oh, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, the entire state of Utah. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, the Duchess of Doing Stuff, my own personal Wikipedia, Danielle Alexandre. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Sorry about that. I was.
You were reading.
Well, I was.
I know, because I'm reading the same thing, but I knew that we had to come back.
Yes. I
Apparently,
appreciate you.
I am your personal Wikipedia, but not the person that keeps your attention on the show.
I get. You're absolutely right. You should sit across from me. It would work out better. But the person is sitting across from me, the Prime Minister of the Sinister,
Who was trying to snap at you.
who was trying to stab me, and I was just ignoring him altogether. Greg Bowen, how are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
Very good, very good. Hopefully everybody's having a good week. We talked a lot about a lot of stuff on hour 1 and hour 2, and we're not going to go into those things again, folks. So if you do want to listen, go to 1787network.com and go find our YouTube channel and go and listen to hour number 1 and hour number 2. I will tell you that you will be happy, sad, depressed, excited, sad, and I said sad twice and I don't care, and happy, and I said happy twice, all at the same time. So it was a very good 2 hours. But this hour is going to be dedicated to something else. Today is the day. This hour is the hour that we use to rag on Florida politicians.
It's the hour of power.
The hour of the hour of power, huh?
The hour of challenging power.
The hour of challenging power. We'll go with that. That is a good time. Where do you want to start with first? Where are we going with first? I know it says Rick Scott up there, but there's so much to go through.
I know.
Where do you want to go first?
I actually want to go with the lawsuit.
The lawsuit. Okay, go ahead. Let's start with the lawsuit.
So, Governor Scott, and most
Mr.
people,
Transparency.
Most people actually don't know this. I actually told you this week, and you didn't know.
You did.
Rick Scott has his emails that come into his official, email address as governor posted on his website. So you can actually go onto his website at any time and look at all of the latest emails that come in and what he sends out and things like that. And this has always been on there. It's been on there since the day he became governor. And I've looked through it a couple times, and it's mostly, people complaining about, a water main break. And, it's really kind of, if you didn't know Rick Scott as the, corrupt guy he was, you'd feel bad for him.
Yeah, let me also say this. You don't contact the governor about a break in your storm sewer. Can you please address your concerns to the proper place in government? I mean, if you're going to complain, at least complain to the right guy.
Right.
And while Rick Scott is a bad guy all the way around, he's not the guy that fixes the water mains.
Right. And a lot of times it's on federal issues, so they want him to abolish the IRS, and there's a myriad of I'm not understanding the proper 3 levels of government, and I'm bringing everything to the governor. There's a lot of those emails. And there's a lot of, just erroneous kind of emails. And then there's some official ones. But, he gets a lot of things that, some flunky in the office is going, that's not under the purview of the governor.
She's not lying for that one. I mean,
they're not lying.
He can give that standard response, and then actually we can't complain.
Right. So, and I've always known this, and I was actually telling Alex this, and he was like, really? He does that? And I'm like, yes. But it always made me wonder, why don't I ever see any of these pay to play? Or, obviously there's emails, and his official email address is public, very public. So, you just think you'd see something. Because obviously he's, Florida is named like one of the top 10 corrupt states in the nation now under Governor Rick Scott. So something's going on. Well, there was a lawsuit that has ordered that there was a public records request from a lawyer, Stephen R. Andrews, that he was subpoena. He wanted to subpoena any Google or Yahoo accounts owned by Governor Rick Scott or Rick Scott's staff. They were fighting this, saying no, that those are private accounts, and that would be a violation of their privacy. And this gentleman, this lawyer, took it all the way up to a circuit court judge, Charles Francis, who ordered the companies to respond to the subpoena request. So now all Google and Yahoo accounts owned by one Richard Scott, or any staff member of Governor Richard Scott, will now be have to be turned over to Stephen R. Andrews, and we can now we'll be able to see what exactly has been going on, because there is the accusation that the staff and Rick Scott are using private emails to converse about public business. This was also something that was done in the Republican Party between several legislators and some Republican strategists on the redistricting issue, which is why this issue came up, because several legislators were sending through private email accounts districting information to their Republican strategists and consultants before the time that it could have been made public, so that was illegal. Now they'd like to know if Rick Scott is doing the same thing, which is the precedent that they set to get this subpoena, was that, several legislators were sending emails for public business through private email accounts. Now it's time to look at Rick Scott's and his staff as well.
Good. Here's the thing. I want as much privacy for the citizenry as possible, and I want as much transparency for the government as possible. And if he's going to, here's the thing. When you're now a public official, you should be sending that stuff out. Mm-hmm. If you're conducting business in those other mediums, well, then those mediums now become part of the public purview. And honestly, it shows now that the emails that were on his site were a distraction.
Oh yeah, and listen, people said it right from the beginning. Is that Rick Scott did this? It was called Project Sunburst, where all of the emails were literally open to the public. It was a state-run website where like if you go to like you can access your email accounts like on a website. Well, he basically made that open to the public. Like everybody has the password. You can just get in there.
Yeah.
And and people said that what this was going to do was just force government and legislators and staff to start communicating by private email addresses, which in the case of the redistricting is exactly what they did.
Yeah, and you can see because it got gerrymandered like it was all get out, and those guys had access to the information before the public did, and it goes to show you why, because they're the ones that created it.
Right. Yeah, they were consulting on the redistricting when they never should have been consulting. Exactly.
So Rick Scott, once again, Mr. Transparency. You're going to have to be Mr. Transparency now. And now, we had a discussion about this last night as to whether there's going to be a smoking gun in there or just, what was the other word for it? Circumstantial evidence that kind of can point us in the right direction?
I think it's going to be circumstance. I think you're going to get some, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. That conversation seems out of context. And I think that you're going to see a continuation of where most of the bad things happened in a either a phone or an in-person conversation, and there was a follow-up by email that doesn't make any sense unless you were there in the private conversation.
Yeah, unless you were privy to the whole thing.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of emails where you're going to be like, well, wait, what?
Greg, smoking gun or circumstance?
It's difficult to say. There's definitely going to be a lot of circumstantial evidence. I hope we find the smoking gun because I think we all know that there's shadiness going on there.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you there. Now the next thing, so let's just keep attacking Rick Scott. By the way, if you've driven anywhere around this state, which I can tell you I've driven around a whole lot of it recently, and then some. Trust me, I have been around a lot of this state. There's a whole lot of roads under construction.
There would be
right now.
There's the list of roads not under construction would be much smaller.
It really does seem to be that's the case. Now you got to take out like individual streets that people live on and stuff,
right?
And talk about the larger
the main
streets,
thoroughfares.
Main thoroughfares. Most of these things are under construction right now. So what's Rick Scott's response to most of these things are under construction right now? Let's speed up the road projects across Florida, which means not that we're going to finish the ones that we've started. It's that we're going to add a bunch that we weren't planning on adding until like 5 years from now.
We're going to start more.
Because we've done such a good job of finishing the ones that we got.
We need more roads sitting torn up in the middle of construction for 6 years until we actually start.
And again, this is not necessarily to blame the construction guys that are working it.
No, it's not their fault.
But when you have every road to work on, there's only so many construction companies. You know what this does, by the way? This is going to create a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A construction bubble, just like the last construction bubble, where what happens is that you have more companies, more people get hired, more companies get formed that are all going to work on all the roads at the same time, and then all the roads are done, and they're going to have to eliminate them all. Or they're just going to make new roads, or they're not going to make new roads, but they're going to find new roads to fix that didn't need to be fixed.
Yeah, and it's, I remember, and I think I told you, I don't know if we've said this on air or this was just in the car or something. When I got my driver's license, I decided one weekend that me and a couple friends were going to go to a celebration station, and there was a part of that road that was under construction. And we took the kids to Celebration Station a few months ago.
Yep.
And it is still under construction. I'm 35 years old. It's been 19 years.
Now, the list. Now, here's the thing. The lists. Now, let me read some of this stuff. State transportation officials were able to speed up the projects because how much money state legislatures set aside for roads in this year's budget. So, again, they're setting more money than they needed to set aside. So now we got to spend it? I mean, one of the biggest projects is 259 projects to widen Interstate 95 in Volusia County on the state's east coast. Is there any need to look? And I've been on this road. I've been on this part of 95
many times.
There is no need to increase the road on Volusia counties on the east side. It was moved up to 2015. It was supposed to be in 2020. Also, the list: Interstate 295 in Duval County. Really? Part of that's already on construction now.
It is actually, and we'll be there this weekend.
Yeah, and I-10 there is on construction, and 95 there is on construction.
It is a cluster of construction on those roads.
Yeah. Interstate 75 in Hernando County.
What?
Really?
Like that is the when you're over on the Pasco side, you can get into some, where you're sitting in traffic for a while. But you always remember, you're like, oh, let me get to that Hernando border because I'm going to fly as soon as we get through there.
Yeah, because those roads are nice.
Right.
They're going to screw up a nice set of land here.
That's why they're doing it. Speeding fines are doubled.
Oh, there you go.
They're doubling up speeding fines on more roads across Florida. Just figured it out. That's what it's all about.
US 98 in Bay County.
Now, I haven't been there since.
I haven't been on that road. I haven't been on 98 in Bay County.
We'll be there in a couple weeks, but I haven't been there.
I don't think we take 98, though.
Well, we did last time. Me and Adrian did.
Is that the one that goes on the coast?
Yeah.
Oh.
Me and Adrian took it when we were there, when we did like that 3 days in the Panhandle.
Oh, I got you. All right, State Road 821 in Miami-Dade. All right, there is not a section of Miami-Dade Road that is not currently under construction.
Not one.
I don't know of one, and I've driven around it a lot. All of this stuff is under construction in Miami-Dade, and now they're going to do more?
Every single road. 95 is under construction. 821 is already under construction. Every road there. I mean, there is even the Turnpike, because they're taking out the toll booths.
Yeah.
So the Turnpike used to not be under construction.
And they're fixing the roads.
But yeah, now that they're taking out, because they're taking out all the toll booths, they have to fix the road where they're taking out all the toll booths. Even that is under construction over there.
And why is it? Because they put more money than they needed to in the budget. But who will over budget for the roads? I mean, again, the argument of who's going to build the roads goes away even more and more every day because you guys are screwing this up. I mean, they are working on not all of them are messed up. And here's the thing. When you hear the Obama administration talk about how, well, we really need more infrastructure stuff, I don't know what other infrastructure you could start working on right now.
And because we are getting messages in as we're on air, A1A is actually a very busy road, basically anywhere we're on it, and they never expand it.
No, never.
That is the one road where I'd go, it does get backed up a lot. That probably does need some expansion.
Maybe. I mean,
in certain places.
Yeah. So, I'm just unbelievable, by the way. Just really unbelievable. Not to leave out the former Republican governor, though.
Nope.
Not to leave this man out. So, Charlie Crist himself in a primary. And is in a primary against Nan Rich, who he has completely ignored. So every time that Crist is saying that, well, Rick Scott should really be debating me, remember, complete hypocrite, 100%, he won't debate Nan Rich.
Charlie Crist said there should be even more debates. The people should hear from the candidates.
I agree with you. You should be in debates with Nan Rich right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, one thing that I will say that does not separate Nan Rich from Charlie Crist, by the way, is the taking of the public money.
That is the one thing they do agree on.
They do agree on this. And I will say, look, I don't really have a problem so much with Nan Rich, but I will say I am highly disappointed that she did what she did. Mm-hmm. Because she took public funding for her campaign.
Yes,
and she should not have done that. It really is sad that she would want to waste money for her campaign with public money. She could stand on principle and say that we shouldn't be publicly funding, even though she probably actually is a person that is for public financing of campaigns and does not mind stealing your money because that's what she did. But so did Charlie Crist.
Hasn't she wasted enough of our money while she was sitting in the legislature?
Yeah, well, yeah, we could make that argument as well up there, but and it really is sad. It's so bad, and again, it's a. I would argue it's a much bigger issue than we probably give it credit for, but it's not that big. It's not a horribly big issue. But the thing is that quit using our money for this stuff. Like, I mean, I don't understand why you want to do this stuff. But what the Tampa Bay Times did is they did do a back and forth between Nan Rich and Charlie Crist. And based off of this, by the way, I don't understand how any good, solid Democrat could vote for Charlie Crist.
Well, the funny thing is that what they do on the Chris side, because Chris boxes are way bigger than Nan Rich's answers. And the reason for that is because he actually answers, they say, this is what he says now, but this is what he did as governor.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, and I also think, I do think the Tampa Bay Times did a disservice here. They made Nan Rich's box smaller on purpose, I think.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but they did have to fit a lot into his because they had to go into two different. Well, this is what he says, but this is what he did as governor.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So, but they do go down the differences between them. Now, me and Adrian, you were there, but you were with some other supporters, and you were talking to Steve Edmonds and stuff while we went out there. We met Nan Rich a couple weeks ago, and listen, we disagree with Nan on almost every issue. Now, there's some issues that we don't. These are more civil liberties issues.
Or the cronyism.
And the cronyism, we're right on, we definitely are in agreement with her. But in a lot of things like education and a lot of other areas, we don't. But she never, she was so respectful to Adrian when they were talking about these issues. And just very much, they had a great conversation, and they both said, well, this is why I believe what I believe, and this is why I believe what I believe. And they kind of went, we are going to disagree, but I understand your point of view. And she left saying, I really hope to see you on the debate stage. I really hope both of us get on the debate stage against Rick Scott, even though she knew they completely disagreed on every issue.
Yeah. No, I think so. And part of that could be that she thinks that he's not going to get any Democrats, which she would be wrong.
Well, she would be wrong because the couple things on like marriage equality and, the marijuana legalization, especially for medical use, those are big issues in this state this year, and they completely agree.
Yeah. So check it out. And like I said, if you're a Democrat, I just don't see how you can vote for Charlie Crist. So you got Nan Rich, and if Nan Rich doesn't win, then, just vote for Adrian. Sorry.
Yeah.
Vote Wiley.
The other thing we're finding out a lot of here is PolitiFact.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, and they're always very big during an election, but it's always, I actually think PolitiFact, they kind of gloss, they gloss over how bad these guys are lying because they give them too much credit because they'll give them this mostly true because one line out of 1,000 was true. They'll say mostly false because they'll say, well, they did get this one sentence right. And it was my name's Charlie Crist. Well, he knew his name. So it was just mostly false.
Yeah, there was no dangling participles, so we're going to give him that correct.
Did you just say the word participles?
I did.
I don't even know what that word means, man. I'm going to have to look that up later. Can you,
we'll do a grammar lesson at break.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Because I'm going to need one after that one. That was, I don't even know what to say there.
So PolitiFact is generally pretty, they do go through that this is what actually happened and, but in their little meter, I think they give them way too much credit in the meter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for Charlie Crist right now, so it's Crist statements on rulings. So if you click all the rulings to see Charlie Crist statements for the rulings, you have 12 that were true. So 19% of what he says is true.
I wouldn't even give him that much.
That's kind of funny. 23% or 15 of them are mostly true. 27% of them or 17 of them are half true, which I would argue the half true ones are actually false.
Right.
Mostly false 19%. False 9%. Pants on fire 2 or 3%. So, some of the things that he said, let's go down the list here. One thing that he said that was half true, they put all aboard Florida is receiving millions in Florida taxpayer dollars. That's actually not half true. It's just true. Well, you know what? Let's go down the rest of this list. We started here. Let's go down the rest of the list here in a second. We'll take a break real quick. When we get back, We're going to go down the list of what's true and what's not true for Chris, and then we'll do the same thing with Scott, and we'll see where we're at. We'll see which ones are lying. Which, I mean, I hate to give you I hate to give it away right now,
Spoiler
but
alert.
they're all lying. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Are the people hearing our message, and they're realizing that the libertarian philosophy is essentially what most people believe. It's the simple philosophy that government should be limited, held within its constitutional boundaries, and that other than that, should pretty much leave people alone to live their lives as they see fit, so long as they're not harming anyone else. I'm Adrian Wiley, Libertarian candidate for Governor of Florida, and I approve this message.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. If you want to call the program, the number is 1-800-525-4032. 1-800-525-4032. You know, let's just kind of not do all of these things. I'm going to go with the falses and the pants on fire for our lovely... Here we go.
I love how he reads it first, so he starts laughing and nobody knows what's funny.
All right, let's go with the pants on fire statements from Charlie Crist. I didn't endorse the federal stimulus bill. which he's probably flip-flopped on that now and said he did endorse the federal stimulus bill. Now, Marco Rubio tried to insert $1.5 million for a rowing institute into the state budget, and he's paddling up the wrong creek there. I do like their little,
The pants on fire graphic.
Yeah, the pants on fire graphic. Now, the false one. I've offered a plan that can help fix Social Security that's supported by Robert Reich. Oh, no. A lot of these are old, too. It's usually about $900 a month to get health coverage. Florida's program has reduced that on average to about $150 a month. Total, not even comparing the same thing. I signed the largest single tax cut in the history of Florida, a $25 billion tax cut over 5 years directed at property taxes. Declining home values wrecked his estimate. We worked to enact the largest tax cut in Florida history based off bad projections. And the rest were the Rubio stuff. Rick Scott, though, where's Rick Scott on the truther meter? But you know what? We won't go down Rick Scott on the truther meter just yet. What else is going on out there in the Charlie Crist land? Are you on Charlie Crist still?
I am on Charlie Crist over here. This is when you're running for office, you do robocalls and you do, a lot of, campaign speeches where you are very strongly advocating for your positions. And those get recorded.
And put out to the voter.
And, when you flip-flop parties and principles and ethics as much as Charlie Crist does, sometimes that becomes a problem in a campaign. Senator Tom Lee figured out that Crist has said some things that he may actually not want people to know he said. So Senator Tom Lee decided, I can do robocalls too. And instead of recording one himself for what he believes about Charlie Crist, he let Charlie Crist speak for himself. Now you heard the call.
No. Does it have do you have the words there? Is it there?
I'm trying to get it. My page is starting to freeze up because it's got media file.
It's starting to freak out.
Yeah. That's what happens when they go back to Charlie Crist's words. It says, Charlie Crist said at the time he was a pro-life Ronald Reagan Republican that we can trust. He also talked about his admiration for Sarah Palin and reminded everyone to vote on the entire Republican ticket.
Okay, now that's a different one than the other one.
Right.
What he did was he was pro-life, pro-gun, would never raise property taxes, or would never raise taxes, and was it pro-life, and lifelong Republican or something along those lines. It was really like, and this is where the Democrats are going wrong with Charlie Crist, because what they're not taking into account is how public and how much he was the Republican governor. All of the information is out there. All they got to do is play his own words on a robocall. And what you're going to do is this. There's a balance that they're trying to give you right now. And the balance is, how much do you hate Rick Scott? That's the balance. Do you hate Rick Scott more than Charlie Crist is a liar? Right or wrong? Right or wrong on that?
You're absolutely right.
Now, Rick Scott's going to tell you that Charlie Crist is a liar, and do you think Charlie Crist is more of a liar than you hate Rick Scott? Mind you, at no point have I talked about policy that they would support.
Now, what's funny is that people came to Charlie Crist's defense, and the one thing that they said is, this is wrong. They intimated that it was Charlie Crist speaking at the present time.
Oh, well, okay. No, he wasn't speaking at the present time. Okay.
He was speaking 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't like it was in the 60s. Right. When he was high on mescaline or something like that. This guy was doing it the last time. Hold on. Not the last time, but the second time before he was running for office, when he was the governor of the state. What he instituted as policy is what he's calling on. If you're pro gay marriage, Charlie Crist should never be the guy you vote for.
Did you know that they made a website with this?
Charlie Crist in his own words?
Yes.
You got to give it up to the look. The Republicans are evil. We'll go with this. I'll see the argument there, but I will tell you that sometimes they do some good sites.
And this is one of them. They literally will have just his own words that are out there.
They have all of his own campaign material. So it's got him standing with Jeb Bush. And it says Charlie Crist, preserving Governor Bush's conservative legacy. Governor Bush's legacy of leadership will be so much more than providing tax relief for families and seniors and ensuring educational choices for parents. Governor Bush will also be remembered for providing 8 years of strong ethical leadership. Charlie Crist has worked side by side with Governor Bush, providing conservative leadership Floridians can be proud of.
The Republican Party of Florida really should just reinstate Charlie Crist's gubernatorial campaign from last time and just send it out to all the Democrats.
Charlie Crist for governor. This is Charlie Crist's conservative record. This was campaign material he put out when he was running for governor.
Yeah, go down this one because this is beautiful, by the way.
Charlie Crist is pro-life. As Attorney General, Charlie Crist successfully defended the rights of parents to know when their daughters are seeking an abortion. As a senator, Charlie Crist voted to ban partial birth abortions and voted to override Governor Child's veto of that ban. As governor, Charlie Crist will seek to promote a culture of life by promoting adoption and seeking state funding for programs that offer alternatives to abortion. Charlie Crist's opponent ran as a pro-choice. Well, we don't care about his opponent then. Charlie Crist is...
hold on. This is the attack.
Yeah, he attacked his challenger.
Yeah, so he attacked his challenger on not being pro-life.
Right. Charlie Crist is against gay marriage. Charlie Crist believes that marriage is an institution between one man and one woman. As Attorney General, Charlie Crist successfully defended Florida's definition of marriage as an institution between one man and one woman. As governor, Charlie Crist will support a constitutional amendment that honors marriage as an institution between one man and one woman.
That passed in Florida, by the way, folks.
Yes, he did live up to that one.
Yes. Yeah. Charlie Crist agrees with President Bush that private individuals may enter into contractual relationships with each other. However, he does not support the state extending marital benefits to same-sex couples.
Charlie Crist, folks, this is his campaign material.
Charlie Crist will secure our borders, which he was running for governor, and I'd like to know how he really thinks he was going to do that because he doesn't even have the authority as governor. But let's go down the list. Charlie Crist believes that we must secure our borders and stop illegal immigration in order to preserve the promise of legal immigration. As governor, Charlie Crist will work to make sure Florida's law enforcement officers have adequate resources, funding, and clear authority to assist the president in homeland security in keeping terrorists and criminals out of our country. Charlie Crist believes that all immigrants should be properly documented, gainfully employed, or attaining an education, paying taxes, and obeying the laws. Like Governor Bush, Charlie Crist believes that Florida must work closely with our federal partners to establish a comprehensive immigration policy. Charlie Crist's opponents contradicts both President Bush's and Governor Bush's efforts to responsibly address the 12 million illegal immigrants currently living in the United States. This is a political advertisement paid for and approved by Charlie Crist, Republican for governor.
Again, his campaign material, folks. What else we got out there? What else is out there? Now, there's some of them aren't as long as others, so let's...
Florida needs judges that apply the law, not rewrite it, by Charlie Crist. Charlie Crist supports judges who strictly apply the law. Charlie Crist believes that judges should strictly apply the law, not modify it or expand it upon it based upon their personal agenda. Charlie Crist supports conservative judges who apply the law as written, not activist judges who legislate from the bench. This was issues on same-sex marriage and abortion, actually. He defends marriage. This is another one, a now third campaign material that says Charlie Crist defends marriage. Charlie Crist supports a constitutional amendment to protect marriage as the union between one man and one woman. Charlie Crist opposes gay adoption.
Yep.
Charlie Crist supports adoption by traditional families as an alternative to abortion. Charlie Crist voted to end partial birth abortion. Charlie Crist protects Florida's kids. Charlie Crist worked to establish Florida's trial predator unit and fought for the Jessica Lunsford Act to protect our children. Charlie Crist stands with Governor Bush. Charlie Crist has served with integrity as Attorney General, working side by side with Governor Bush to provide conservative leadership for Florida.
That's his campaign material, folks. Now, here's the thing. He was either lying then, or he's lying now, or he's lying both times.
I'm going to vote C.
That he's lying both
times.
Yep, I'm going to have to go with that.
Charlie Crist is very much a political expediency animal. He wants power. He wants wealth. He wants title. He'll say whatever it takes to get it. He's proven that. He's doing it right now.
Yeah.
There's one more, and this one's short. There's only 3 points. And this is basically all of his campaign material. So he ran on this strictly when he was running for governor last time.
He not only did he run on it, he promoted it in his literature.
Yeah. Charlie Crist is a pro-life attorney general who successfully defended Florida's parental notification law. A pro-family conservative who successfully defended 9 court cases attacking traditional marriage, which would be supporting same-sex marriage. An ethical and moral leader who proposed and worked to pass a new law to increase penalties for crimes committed in places of worship.
Political advertising paid for by Charlie Crist. Again, it's his own words that are going to be the things that gets him. Now, here's what's going to happen. What this is going to do, because Democrats are going to see this, is it will depress the vote. Now, the Democrat vote is already going to be depressed, considering it's the midterms. And again, I'm not basing that off of, I'm not calling them names or picking on them. That's just based off of what's happened in the past. Now they're thinking that you're adding Amendment 2 in there, and that's going to increase it, because the reason that John Morgan got involved in Amendment 2 was to try to get Charlie Crist elected. Not the reason why a lot of people are supporting Amendment 2. That's just why John Morgan and Charlie Crist support Amendment 2. Because again, Charlie Crist was also the guy that signed into law some of the much harsher drug regulations, so people like Kathy Jordan would get arrested.
Yeah, and that's why he was known as Chain Gang Charlie.
Exactly. Matter of fact, I love the picture of him holding a chain in the chamber of in Tallahassee.
Yeah, and that was not photoshopped. That is actually what he did.
He brought a chain with him. Now, again, you can claim us for doing a lot of stuff, but I mean, really, we don't do that kind of stuff. I mean, we're not that crazy, huh? It's just amazing. Really is amazing with Charlie Crist, guys.
Now, Charlie Crist also had a few bus incidents this week.
That's very, very true. We'll go in chronological order.
Let's go with the first one. Adam Smith, who is a longtime I Love Charlie Crist guy, wanted to get on the Charlie Crist tour bus to cover him for it was like a 3-day run through some of South Florida, and was denied access to the Charlie Crist bus and told, we don't want Adam Smith here.
Yeah. I do think it's kind of funny. Now, there were people that showed up at one of the stops that had like free Adam Smith signs.
Yes. Yes, Adam Smith's 4 fans showed up at a couple of, I have no idea how many fans he has, but I'm guessing it's not many.
Well, I got to tell you, though, I do think that it's funny that a reporter that is reviled as much as Adam Smith actually had people that were there to defend him for getting on the bus.
It was his wife and kids. No, I have no idea. I have no idea who it was. It was, I don't know, people who think Adam Smith is, I don't know, not the joke we think of him.
My bad.
So he was denied access to the tour bus. He made a big deal about it in the paper. It was, kind of funny for us. Someone actually lied and called him a journalist, but so, it was a funny story, but maybe Adam Smith should be thanking Charlie Crist, because while on tour, Charlie Crist's bus was involved in a crash with another vehicle.
Whose fault was it?
I don't see that. They're really not saying. They're just saying that everybody was okay.
Is Morgan and Morgan taking the case?
Probably means that it was the car. I mean, the bus.
Hold on a second. Morgan and Morgan's taking the case, because he's an ambulance. Never mind.
Yeah, they're saying that the car hit the bus as it was, like the car was trying to pass the bus, and then Miss Greg Rowe from Pasco County, a longtime insurance person in the insurance industry, bringing a lot to the campaign on that issue, which is going to be very important to the citizens of Florida in the upcoming years. Is now the lieutenant governor candidate for the Libertarian Party.
Yep, and this weekend for the craft brewery tour for Adrian Wiley. I mean, tonight he's going to be in Hernando.
Then tomorrow he's going to be in Jacksonville. Then it's going to be...
We have 2 stops in Jacksonville.
Yeah, 2 stops in Jacksonville. Then the day after that, it's going to be...
Orlando and Winter Park.
Orlando and Winter Park. Which I am looking forward to the Winter Park and the Orlando one.
Yeah.
And then on Monday, it's going to be in Bradenton. Then in Tampa on Tuesday. Then Wednesday is in Fort Pierce. Thursday's in Cocoa Beach. Friday's in Winter Park again. Friday's in Winter Park again?
Yeah, you're off a day.
No.
Thursday.
It's August 17th is in Rockledge.
Oh, yeah. We're coming to... We're Rockledge.
It's Rockledge, then Orlando.
And then Orlando.
Yeah, Rockledge, then Orlando.
And then the next weekend is Winter Park.
Yeah. But if you go to WileyForGovernor.com, click on the events page, you'll be able to see all the stuff.
And we announced today our new office. The campaign office is opened in Newport Richey. We open officially on Monday. We have a call center going on. We have lots of things going on. You can pick up supplies there in the office. It's at 9851 State Road 54. And we have pretty extensive hours throughout the week that we'll be posting on the website and everything. But the new office, the official campaign headquarters, will be open starting Monday.
Yeah.
We've had a big week. Well, a lot of media attention. We've had a lot of news trucks at our events. And yesterday was a very packed house in Sea Dog Brewing in Clearwater. With 2 reporters also following Adrian around to every table and as he was going around. So the packed house with Adrian walking around with 2 reporters as entourage was not good for crowd management. But it was a fun time.
You know, one other thing that happens when Adrian does, because we've getting reporters at most of them. I think what would we say? We're 80%.
80% right? Has media there.
80% of the place has media there. The one thing that I've noticed is whenever he's there and media is there, that more people that are at the location just want to go and talk to him.
Well, they don't know why all this, like last night we were, and most of the room was actually there for him. Probably half to 75% of the people there were actually there because of him or because they had seen it on his website or on the Facebook page. But the other portion of the room that wasn't is like, wait a minute, what's this guy that everyone wants to take a picture with that has 2 reporters following wherever he goes?
That does give me an idea, by the way.
We should just pretend to be reporters?
Yes. We should have people that their job in life is to look like an official reporter that walk around with get some cool name badges and stuff like that, and then just walk around and interview our candidates.
You realize that we not only have press badges, but also a very big camera.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
We actually don't have to pretend to be press. The fact that we have this show makes us press.
Yeah, we're kind of doing it right now, homie.
Yeah, but we're not like that kind of press, though. You know what I mean? Like, we don't do that. And besides, I'm too busy setting up all the stuff there to be the guy walking around with this. It can't be us, for Pete's sake. I'm not going to be the weigh-ins here.
But, but the funny thing is I am always snapping pictures for the campaign. So not only does he have me handing out cards, snapping pictures, and any person who comes up to take a picture with him, I will take the picture for them so that their whole group can get in. So I have my camera hanging from my neck. Then someone else is always handing me theirs. They're like, I want to get a picture with him. And I never mind I don't mind doing that at all. I think it's great that I make sure that their whole family gets in the picture that they want to be in. And then we have either a big news camera or someone with a large camera and another person writing notes the entire time. It gets insane at these events.
Yeah, we're the press, not the press.
We're the full court press.
We're the full court press. We're the full court press. I like that one. That's a good one to use. Yeah, that thing losing power really does suck, by the way.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, that really does suck. It's like, man, we're gone. And we're not here anymore.
And now we're back.
And right now we're going to request donations for battery backups in the studio.
If anyone would like to send us a battery backup so that they don't lose us in the middle of a show in a rainstorm, go on to 1787network.com and there is the largest donate button you could ever find on a website.
Yeah. Now, something else has come up, and I'm just seeing it now, and it looks like the official shooter has been identified in the Brown shooting in Ferguson.
Oh, in Ferguson. Okay.
Yeah. And he's black.
I mean, like, I don't mean to
shooter.
laugh, but
And the shooter. Well, here's the thing.
Well, you can.
Our problem, and again, we didn't bring this up. There's other people that bring it up as being a racial thing. I didn't bring it up as that. It is a police brutality thing.
Yes, it is.
And that goes across skin color, so it doesn't even matter what the color of the guy is. He's still the wrong guy to do this. But it is funny that police brutality is so bad that even a black guy will kill a black guy.
And interestingly enough, I just saw, just before power went down, I was scrolling through my feed here, and I saw a story that the KKK is raising money for Ferguson police.
Oh, that's just wrong.
What?
Now,
Yeah.
are they going to still do it now that they know that the shooter was a black police officer?
It's going to be interesting to find out.
That is actually going to be, again, we shouldn't be laughing at.
It's going to be like that, the Chappelle Show episode. You know which one I'm talking about?
I know which one you're talking about. One of the classics.
Yeah.
One of the classics right there.
And we're not giving it away, but anyone who knows the Chappelle Show will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why we both laughed as soon as you said it.
Tyrone Biggs. That was one of the funniest ones. And he divorced his wife.
And
we're not
you,
saying
you
why,
might
no.
just be able to go to Google, type in Tyrone Biggs, and find the video, actually.
It's hysterical. And
Go Chappelle Show racist, maybe.
Yeah, and you'll definitely see what the reference is, because I definitely think you're going to have this as I think now they're going to be like, oh wait, what?
Yeah, this is. I mean, it is. Look, it's not funny because somebody died of it.
Yes.
But it is. Again, the problem is police brutality. That's
Yes.
the problem. Which, if you want to hear more about that one, you got to go the first hour and hear that one. So.
That one doesn't cut out.
Yeah, that one doesn't cut out. So, that's it, guys. That's the show. 1787network.com is the website. Waiting on the music.
I'm trying to pull the music up.
Oh, all right. There you go. Not waiting anymore. It's here. The music's here. It's over. We'll see you next Friday. Oh no, we will not see you next Friday.
No, because we will be on the road.
Yeah, we're on the road. We're on the road next Friday, and then the Friday after that, we will be back live again. You're listening to Liberty Underground.